Meanwhile, in Arkham Asylum's maximum security wing, someone still has to inspect Christmas decorations for fire hazards, even when they're made entirely from paper snowflakes and commissary toothpaste by the only patient who turns his cell into a winter wonderland every December. Welcome, friend. You've wandered into another quiet corner of service and solitude. Tonight, we're stepping into the Gothic corridors of Arkham Asylum on Christmas Eve, where your job as the night facilities supervisor means keeping an aging building operational through the holiday while most of Gotham celebrates outside these walls. Here, while families gather around trees and children dream of presents, you're mainly concerned with whether the boiler in D-Wing will maintain pressure through the night, and why one particular patient has spent 3 months crafting decorations from magazine pages. So before you settle in for this evening with me, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, so we can keep bringing you more tales from the working side of legendary places. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from tonight. It's always good to know who's keeping me company during these quiet rounds. Now get comfortable. Let the familiar sounds of an old institution at rest surround you, and allow the small steady rhythms of Christmas Eve maintenance to guide you gently towards sleep. You arrive at Arkham Asylum at 10:44 p.m. on December 24th, pulling your car into the employee parking lot that sits behind the main building, separated from the patient areas by 2 layers of security fencing and carefully maintained distance. The parking lot is nearly empty tonight. Christmas Eve means skeleton crews, reduced staffing, only essential personnel reporting for duty. Your headlights sweep across the few remaining vehicles as you navigate to your usual spot, the 3rd row back, 4th space from the left, the same parking space you've claimed for the past 15 years. The engine shuts off with a mechanical sigh, and suddenly you're surrounded by the particular quiet that comes with late December nights in Gotham. The air is cold, crisp, carrying that quality of stillness that happens when temperature drops below freezing and the city seems to hold its breath. You can see your exhale forming small clouds that dissipate quickly in the darkness. The sky above is clear, stars visible despite the ambient light from Gotham's downtown towers visible on the horizon. And the temperature, according to your car's dashboard, reads 27 degrees Fahrenheit. You gather your things from the passenger seat. Your lunch bag, packed this afternoon before you left home, containing a sandwich, an apple, a thermos of coffee that you made yourself because the break room coffee is universally acknowledged to be terrible. Your tablet computer, the one issued by the facilities department, loaded with inspection checklists and maintenance schedules, and all the digital paperwork that modern facility management requires. Your personal phone, though you'll keep it in your locker during your shift. Patient care areas prohibit personal devices, and you've always been careful about following protocols. The winter coat you're wearing is heavy, insulated, necessary for December work that sometimes requires trips outside to generator buildings and mechanical systems housed in separate structures. But you'll leave it in your office once you're inside. The asylum is kept warm, sometimes uncomfortably so, the heating system running continuously to maintain the temperature standards required for residential facilities. You've learned to dress in layers, the heavy coat for transit, a lighter jacket for inside work, and the ability to shed down to just your uniform shirt when working in mechanical rooms, where the equipment generates its own substantial heat. The walk from your car to the employee entrance takes you across asphalt that's been cleared of snow but shows the salt stains and residue of Gotham's ongoing battle with winter weather. The employee entrance is a utilitarian door, steel, painted institutional grey, with a card reader mounted beside it and a security camera positioned above. This isn't the grand front entrance that visitors use. That entrance has Gothic arches and carved stone, and all the architectural drama that Arkham's original designers intended. This is the working entrance, the door that staff use, functional and secure, and completely devoid of aesthetic consideration. You pull your ID badge from your pocket. The badge is laminated plastic, featuring your photo from 3 years ago when the last round of badge renewals happened. Your name printed in bold letters, Marcus Webb, and below that, your title, Facilities Supervisor, Night Shift. A barcode runs along the bottom edge, readable by the security system, tied to your employment record and your clearance level, and all the digital identity markers that modern institutions require. The badge swipes through the reader with a familiar motion. You've done this so many times that your hand knows exactly the right speed, the right angle, the right pressure. The reader beeps, a pleasant tone that indicates acceptance. The light flashes green. The electromagnetic lock disengages with a heavy clunk, and you pull the door open, stepping from the December cold into the heated interior of Arkham Asylum. The entrance corridor is empty at this hour, as you expected. This corridor serves primarily as a security transition zone, the space between outside and inside where staff can be verified and cleared before accessing the working areas of the facility. The walls are painted institutional beige, a colour chosen decades ago and maintained through countless repainting cycles because institutions are conservative about change, and this particular shade of beige has proven adequately inoffensive. The floor is commercial grade vinyl tile, grey with subtle flecks of darker grey, selected for durability and ease of maintenance rather than beauty. Overhead, fluorescent lights cast their flat, even illumination, the kind of lighting that eliminates shadows, but also eliminates any sense of warmth or atmosphere. You walk down this corridor, your boots making soft sounds against the vinyl, past the security checkpoint where a guard sits behind reinforced glass. The guard tonight is Officer Martinez, someone you've worked with for years, someone who knows your face and your routine and barely glances up as you approach. But protocol is protocol, so you present your badge anyway, holding it up to the window so Martinez can verify the photo matches the person. Can confirm that you're authorized to be here at this hour. Martinez nods, waves you through, returns to whatever he was reading, probably a book. Martinez is always reading during quiet shifts, working his way through mystery novels and thrillers, finding entertainment in fictional crimes, while surrounded by the real thing. The checkpoint door buzzes, unlocks, allows you passage into the administrative wing proper. The administrative wing is where the business of running Arkham happens, separate from the patient areas, a space for offices and records and maintenance operations. At 10:47 p.m. on Christmas Eve, it's deserted. The offices are dark, their occupants long gone to their own holiday celebrations. The only lights are the safety lights that burn continuously, the exit signs that mark escape routes, the security lights positioned at corridor intersections. Your office is the fourth door on the left, marked with a simple placard. Facilities Maintenance. The key turns in the lock, an actual physical key, not a card reader, because facilities wanted mechanical backup for critical areas, and your office contains the master keys to every mechanical room in the building. The door opens into a space that's small but organised, arranged with the careful efficiency of someone who spent 15 years perfecting a workspace. The office is 10 feet by 12 feet. Dimensions you know precisely because you've measured them, calculated the square footage, determined the optimal arrangement of furniture within those constraints. A metal desk dominates one wall, grey steel, institutional issue, purchased in bulk by Gotham City when they furnished this building 70 years ago and still functioning perfectly well. A computer monitor sits on the desk, connected to a computer tower that hums quietly beneath. The facility management software already running because you never fully shut the system down. It takes too long to restart, and you need access the moment you arrive. Filing cabinets line another wall, 4 drawers each, filled with the accumulated documentation of facility maintenance. Work orders dating back 15 years, equipment manuals for every major system in the building, maintenance schedules, inspection reports, warranty information, service, contracts, and all the paper trail that responsible facility management requires. The digital age may have arrived, but facilities work still generates paper, and you've kept everything, organised chronologically and by system type, cross-referenced and accessible, because you never know when you'll need to reference a repair performed 5 years ago or confirm when a particular piece of equipment was last serviced. A wall-mounted board holds laminated floor plans of all 6 wings of Arkham Asylum, each wing colour-coded, each showing the locations of mechanical rooms, electrical panels, water shut-offs, fire suppression systems, and all the infrastructure that keeps a building operational. You've annotated these plans yourself over the years, adding notes about quirks of individual systems, reminders about valves that stick or circuits that trip easily, or any of the 1,000 small details that accumulate when you work in the same building long enough to know its personality. In the corner, on a small table that you brought from home because the building didn't provide it, sits your personal coffee maker, not the industrial machine in the break room that produces something that barely qualifies as coffee, but your own drip machine, purchased specifically for this office, paired with a grinder and good beans. Because after 15 years of night shifts, you've learned that quality coffee is not a luxury, but a necessity. The machine is already warming up. You have it on a timer that turns it on at 10:30 p.m, so that by the time you arrive, it's ready to brew. You hang your heavy winter coat on the hook behind the door. The hook is one of 3: winter coat, lighter work jacket, and a spare hook for whatever else needs hanging. The work jacket goes on. Navy blue, insulated but not bulky, with your name embroidered on the front and Facilities Night Supervisor across the back in silver thread. The jacket has pockets, necessary pockets, for keys and tools, and the small items that facilities work requires you to carry. Your lunch bag goes into the small refrigerator under the desk, another item you brought from home because facilities didn't provide one, and you got tired of walking to the staff break room every time you wanted something cold. The refrigerator hums quietly, maintaining a steady 38 degrees, cold enough for food safety, but not so cold as to freeze items placed too close to the back wall. You sit at your desk, the office chair creaking slightly with your weight. The chair is old, the pneumatic cylinder that controls height has lost some of its pressure over the years, but it's still functional, still comfortable, and requesting a replacement seems unnecessary when this one works adequately. The computer monitor comes to life at your touch, displaying the facility management dashboard that you've customized over the years to show exactly the information you need at a glance. The dashboard is a grid, color-coded and clearly organized, showing all major systems across all 6 wings of Arkham. Each system has an indicator, green for operating normally, yellow for functioning, but with minor issues noted for future attention, red for critical problems requiring immediate response. Tonight, at this moment, everything shows green. The HVAC systems are operational, temperatures maintaining their programmed set points throughout the building. Electrical systems are within normal parameters, no circuit overloads detected, no unusual power draws that might indicate equipment malfunction. Water pressure is stable throughout the facility, the readings from sensors placed strategically in each wing confirming adequate flow. Fire suppression systems are armed and ready, their status lights all showing the reassuring green that indicates proper function. Security systems report all clear, their integration with facilities allowing you to monitor door locks, camera systems, and emergency lighting from this same dashboard. This is what you want to see at the start of a shift. A building operating exactly as it should, all systems functioning within acceptable parameters, no emergencies demanding immediate response, no crises interrupting the planned routine of maintenance rounds. But you know, from 15 years of experience, from 5,000 shifts walked through these corridors, that this peaceful state is temporary and probably illusory. Something will need attention before the night ends. Something always does. The coffee maker finishes its warming cycle, beeping softly to indicate readiness. You stand from your desk, move to the small table in the corner, begin the ritual that marks the true start of every shift. The coffee ritual has become meditative over the years, a sequence of familiar actions performed with attention to detail, creating not just caffeine, but a moment of transition between the outside world and the work ahead. The beans are stored in an airtight container, a glass jar with a rubber seal that keeps them fresh between uses. The beans are medium roast, purchased from a small diner 3 blocks from your apartment, a place you visit every Saturday morning for breakfast and a buy 2 weeks' worth of coffee. You don't know the roaster's name. The bags are simply labelled House Blend in generic black letters. But you've been buying these beans for 3 years, and the consistency is excellent. Dark enough for body, light enough to avoid bitterness, with notes of chocolate and a hint of nuttiness that emerges in the finish. You measure out 40 grams of beans using the small digital scale that sits beside the grinder. You bought the scale years ago, determined to make coffee properly, to apply the same systematic approach to coffee preparation that you apply to facility maintenance. Consistency requires measurement, not guesswork. 40 grams of beans to 600 millilitres of water produces the ratio that you found optimal. Strong enough for effectiveness, not so strong as to be unpleasant, balanced and reliable. The grinder is a burr grinder, the type that crushes beans between metal surfaces rather than chopping them with blades. Blade grinders produce inconsistent particle sizes, leading to uneven extraction and inferior coffee. Burr grinders cost more, but they produce results that justify the investment. You've had this grinder for 8 years, and it's never failed, never wavered in its grinding consistency, simply performing its function shift after shift with mechanical reliability. You pour the measured beans into the grinder's hopper. The lid closes with a satisfying click. Your thumb finds the power button. The grinder whirs to life. The sound loud in the quiet office, but not unpleasant. A purposeful mechanical noise, the sound of work being done correctly. The grinding takes 20 seconds, time you've learned to judge without checking a clock. Your internal sense calibrated by thousands of repetitions. When the sound changes, becoming slightly higher pitched as the last beans are processed, you release the button. The grinder spins down to silence. The grounds collect in the chamber below, fine enough for good extraction, but not so fine as to clog the filter. You remove the chamber, tap it gently to settle the grounds, then pour them into the paper filter that waits in the coffee maker's brew basket. The filter is white, bleached, a new one for each pot because reusing filters affects flavour and you've never seen the point of compromising quality for minimal savings. The grounds spread evenly in the filter, creating a level bed that will allow water to flow through uniformly. The water reservoir was filled this morning before you left for home. You have a routine of filling it at the end of each shift, so it's ready when you return. The water is filtered, run through a simple carbon filter that removes chlorine and other compounds that would affect taste. Gotham's tap water is safe, but heavily treated, and the chemical flavours are noticeable in coffee if you don't filter them out. The reservoir holds enough for 2 full pots, meaning you'll only need to refill it once during your 8-hour shift. Usually, around 3 a.m, when you're conducting your second round of checks. You press the brew button. The machine's heating element activates, bringing water to the optimal temperature, somewhere between 195 and 205 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough for proper extraction, but not so hot as to scald the grounds and extract bitter compounds. The machine is programmable, and you've set it to maintain that temperature precisely. Modern coffee makers with adequate engineering can produce results nearly as good as expensive manual methods. And you've never seen the point of manual brewing when automation can achieve consistency. Water begins dripping through the grounds, each drop extracting solubles and oils, creating the complex mixture of compounds that constitutes coffee. The sound is steady, rhythmic, a gentle pattering that fills the small office. The smell begins immediately, the volatile aromatics that rise with the steam, filling the air with the scent of fresh coffee. This smell is one of the constant markers of your shifts, present every night, associated through enough repetition that catching the scent of coffee now triggers a mental shift toward work mode. While the coffee brews, you return to your desk and pull up tonight's detailed schedule. The schedule is organized chronologically, listing every task that needs to be completed during your 8-hour shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. The schedule exists in digital form on the tablet you'll carry during rounds, but you prefer to review it on the larger monitor first, to see the entire night laid out in one view, to understand the pacing and timing and how individual tasks fit into the larger pattern of the shift. Tonight's schedule shows 11 p.m. first rounds, A-wing through C-wing, system checks and temperature monitoring, 12:15 a.m. D-wing rounds, mechanical room inspection, 12:30 a.m. D-wing special inspection, patient 0847, work order, 847-24, 1:30 a.m. E-wing and F-wing rounds, completion of first circuit 2 a.m. kitchen inspection, Christmas dinner preparation area, check 2:30 a.m. second coffee, meal break 3 a.m. E-wing common room inspection, holiday decorations safety verification, 3:30 a.m. begin second rounds, repeat system checks, 4 a.m. generator testing, monthly scheduled test, timing optimized for low electrical demand, 5 a.m. boiler inspection, detailed check of primary heating system 5:30 a.m. complete second rounds, all wings 6 a.m. final system verification, shift transition, preparation 6:30 a.m. complete documentation, prepare briefing for day shift supervisor 7:80 a.m. shift change, handover to day shift. The work order for 12:30 a.m. draws your attention, as it did when you first reviewed the schedule earlier this evening. Work order 847-24, special inspection in D-wing, maximum security, patient area access required. You click on the work order to review its full details, reading the description that was filed by Dr. Sarah Chen, one of the psychiatrists assigned to D-wing. The description reads, Patient 847, Hayes William, has constructed Christmas decorations using approved commissary items. Decorations include paper snowflakes, handmade garland, nativity scene constructed from art supplies, and small Christmas tree made from paper. All materials used were approved through standard patient art therapy protocols. However, given the volume of paper materials and their placement throughout the cell, a facility's safety inspection is requested to verify no fire hazards exist and that emergency equipment access is not obstructed. Patient is fully cooperative and has specifically requested inspection to ensure his decorations meet all safety requirements. Please conduct inspection during regular rounds. Patient should remain on bunk during inspection per standard D-wing protocols. Officer Davies will provide security escort. You've heard about Billy Hayes, though you've never met him directly. Facility staff don't typically interact with patients. That's not your role, not your training, not within the boundaries that professional practice requires. You maintain the building. Medical and security staff manage the patient population. But information circulates in a facility like this. The asylum is its own small world, and staff talk, news spreads, stories accumulate. You know the basic facts about most of the D-wing patients, at least the ones who've been here long enough to become part of the institutional knowledge that long-term staff accumulate. Billy Hayes is 27 years old. He's been in Arkham for 8 years since he was 19, admitted after what the staff quietly refer to as the Robinson Park incident. You don't know the specific details. Patient files are confidential, shared only with treatment staff who need the information. But you've heard the general outline. Some kind of psychotic break related to Christmas. Something about setting up unauthorized decorations in a public park, breaking into stores to obtain materials, becoming violent when police tried to intervene. Nobody was seriously hurt, but the combination of property crime and violent resistance during a mental health crisis was enough for criminal charges and a psychiatric commitment that's now in its 8th year. What you know more certainly, from direct observation and staff conversation, is that Billy Hayes loves Christmas. Every year, without fail, he does something holiday-related. Sometimes it's decorations, like this year. Sometimes it's organising activities for other patients. Last year, he ran a Christmas carol sing-along in the D-Wing common room that apparently went very well, with a dozen patients participating and singing traditional carols for nearly an hour. The year before that, he made individualised Christmas cards for every patient and staff member in D-Wing, hand-drawn and personalised, reportedly with remarkable attention to what each person might appreciate. The psychiatrists apparently view this as a positive coping mechanism, channeling whatever drives his mental illness into something creative and pro-social rather than destructive. The security staff reports that he's the easiest patient in D-Wing, completely compliant with rules, never aggressive, participates in all required programming, causes zero disciplinary problems. By all accounts, he's stabilised significantly since his admission 8 years ago, though apparently not to the point where discharge or transfer to a less restrictive setting is being considered. And this year, Billy Hayes has decorated his cell for Christmas. 3 months of work, according to the work order. Hundreds of paper snowflakes, a homemade nativity scene, a paper Christmas tree, all of it created within the constraints of what's allowed in maximum security. No electrical items, no candles, no materials that could be used as weapons or tools for escape, only the approved commissary items and art supplies that patients can purchase and use under supervision. The coffee maker beeps, indicating brew cycle complete. You stand, move back to the corner table, retrieve your mug from the shelf where it waits. The mug is ceramic, dark blue, heavy enough to retain heat, but not so heavy as to be unwieldy. On the side, in white letters, it reads, "World's okayest dad." A gift from your daughter 3 Christmases ago, when she was 13 and thought the joke was hilarious. She's 16 now. Too old for that kind of humour, probably, but the mug has become your work mug, used every shift, a small connection to home in this institutional environment. You pour coffee carefully, watching the dark liquid flow into the mug, steam rising in gentle curls that catch the overhead lights. The coffee is hot, approaching the edge of too hot, requiring careful sips initially, but cooling to optimal drinking temperature within a few minutes. You've learned to judge the timing. Drink too soon, and you burn your tongue. Wait too long, and it cools below the temperature where coffee tastes best. The first sip is always the best, even after thousands of shifts. There's something about that first taste of coffee that marks the transition from arrival to active work. From Marcus Webb the person to Marcus Webb, the night facilities supervisor. The coffee is good, proper extraction from proper brewing, the flavour clean and balanced, the slight bitterness offset by the natural sweetness that good beans provide. You detect the chocolate notes, the hint of nuttiness, the qualities that make this particular blend worth the weekly trip to the diner. You carry the mug back to your desk, set it on the coaster that protects the metal surface from heat rings. The coaster is cork simple, functional, showing the accumulated coffee stains from 15 years of use. Your tablet computer comes off its charging cable, powered up and ready. The inspection checklists are loaded, digital forms that you'll complete during rounds, documenting every check performed, every reading taken, every observation made. The tablet has replaced the paper clipboards you used for the first 10 years of your career, and while you miss the physicality of paper sometimes, the digital system has advantages. Automatic timestamping, instant data entry, easier searchability of historical records, and elimination of the filing burden that paper generated. Your radio comes off its charging cradle next, clipping to your belt with a practiced motion. The radio is a digital two-way, encrypted, tied into the asylum's secure communication network. It connects you to security dispatch, to medical staff, to the night administrator, to anyone else working this shift, who might need to reach you or whom you might need to reach. You test it by keying the mic. Facilities supervisor, radio check. The response comes immediately from the security control room. Control. Copy your check loud and clear. You're showing on our board in the administrative wing. You acknowledge. Copy that. Control. Beginning first rounds in approximately 2 minutes. Acknowledged. Have a good shift, Marcus. The radio clips securely to your belt, positioned where you can easily reach the controls and hear incoming calls even in noisy mechanical rooms. The volume is set to a level that's loud enough to hear clearly, but not so loud as to be startling when calls come through. You fine-tune this setting over months of adjustment, finding the exact point that works for you. Your key ring comes from the desk drawer, a heavy collection of keys, each one labelled with a small tag that identifies its purpose. Master key for mechanical rooms, electrical room keys, boiler room access, generator building. The keys are organised on the ring in a specific order that you can navigate by feel, finding the right key even in dim light or when wearing gloves. This organisation saves time, prevents fumbling, maintains the efficiency that good facilities work requires. Your watch shows 10:58 p.m, 2 minutes until the official start of first rounds. You use these 2 minutes to take another sip of coffee. It's cooled now to the perfect drinking temperature, and to review the floor plans one more time, tracing with your eyes the route you'll walk tonight. Starting in A-Wing, moving through B-Wing and C-Wing, then the more secure access into D-Wing for the mechanical room check and the special inspection of Billy Hayes' cell, then completing the circuit through E-Wing and F-Wing before returning to the office for documentation and the second pot of coffee. The building is quiet around you, settled into its night rhythm. Most of its 200 residents are sleeping or resting in their cells, secured for the night count that happens at 10 p.m. The medical staff on night duty are conducting their own rounds, distributing medications to patients who require evening doses, checking on those who have special monitoring needs, responding to call buttons pressed by patients who need assistance. Security staff are positioned at their posts throughout the building, maintaining the watchful presence that institutional safety requires, monitoring cameras, conducting periodic patrols, ready to respond if incidents occur. And you're preparing to begin the first round of your Christmas Eve shift, checking the systems that keep everyone safe, warm, and secure. The heating system that prevents the building from freezing on December nights when Gotham's temperature drops into the 20s. The electrical system that powers lights, medical equipment, security systems, and all the infrastructure that modern psychiatric care requires. The plumbing that provides water for drinking, washing, cooking, sanitation. The fire suppression system that stands ready to protect lives if something goes wrong. Your watch changes to 11 p.m. exactly. You stand, gathering your tablet and keys, taking one more sip of coffee, still warm, still good, and setting the mug back on its coaster. The office light switches off as you exit, the darkness settling over your desk and filing cabinets and coffee maker. The door locks behind you with a solid click, the mechanical sound of a lock engaging properly, securing the space until you return. The corridor stretches ahead, fluorescent lights casting their steady, unchanging illumination across beige walls and grey floors. The building breathes around you, the whisper of air through ventilation ducts, the distant hum of machinery, the subtle sounds of a large structure filled with people and systems, and all the complexity of institutional operation. First rounds begin. You walk slowly, deliberately, your boots making soft rhythmic sounds against the vinyl tile. There's no rush. The night is long. The work is systematic. And somewhere in this building, in a maximum security cell, Billy Hayes is probably sleeping beneath paper snowflakes, surrounded by Christmas decorations he spent 3 months creating, waiting for someone to inspect his cell and confirm that his holiday can proceed as planned. You head toward A-Wing, following the route you've walked 5,000 times, beginning another shift, another night of maintenance that keeps Arkham Asylum functioning through holidays and ordinary nights alike. The corridor outside your office is part of A-Wing, the administrative section of Arkham Asylum, where the business of running a psychiatric facility happens away from patient areas. At 11:02 p.m. on Christmas Eve, moving past midnight into Christmas Day itself, this wing is almost completely deserted. The offices that line the corridor are dark behind closed doors, their occupants home with families or celebrating the holiday in whatever ways people celebrate when they're not working night shift at a secure psychiatric facility. You walk slowly, methodically, your boots creating a steady percussion against the vinyl tile flooring. The rhythm of your walking is meditative. Left foot, right foot, the measured pace of someone who has 8 hours to complete a known set of tasks and sees no benefit in rushing. Hurrying leads to missed details, overlooked problems, the kind of small oversights that become larger issues if not caught early. 15 years of facilities work has taught you that thoroughness matters more than speed, that taking time to observe carefully prevents problems that would take much longer to fix. The walls on either side of you are painted that institutional beige, the same colour that's been standard in Arkham's administrative areas for decades. The paint is recent. These walls were repainted 8 months ago, part of the building's ongoing maintenance cycle. But the colour never changes. Institutions are conservative about such things. The beige is neutral, inoffensive, designed to fade into background, to not distract or stimulate. It's the colour of bureaucracy, of paperwork, of the administrative machinery that keeps complex organisations functioning. The floor beneath your boots is commercial-grade vinyl tile, grey with subtle flecks of darker grey scattered throughout the pattern. The tiles are 12 inches square, installed in a grid pattern that runs straight down the corridor. The installation was done 20 years ago, and the tiles show their age in high-traffic areas, slight dulling where thousands of feet have walked, minor scuffs that cleaning can't remove. The pattern are of use that all flooring eventually develops, but the tiles are intact, no cracks or missing sections, performing their function of providing a cleanable, durable surface. Overhead, fluorescent lights cast their flat, even illumination. The lights are in fixtures that run in continuous strips along the ceiling, creating shadow-free lighting that's ideal for office work, but tends to make spaces feel sterile, institutional, devoid of warmth. The fluorescent tubes hum very faintly, not loud enough to be annoying, but present if you listen for them, contributing to the ambient sound that fills every artificially lit space. You reach the first checkpoint, the computer server room, located halfway down the A-Wing corridor. The server room is critical infrastructure, housing the digital systems that run everything from medical records to building management, security systems to financial databases. The room requires climate control independent of the rest of the building, maintaining consistent temperature and humidity that electronic equipment needs to operate reliably. The door is marked with a simple sign mounted at eye level. Server room, authorized personnel only. Below that, a smaller sign warns, Halon fire suppression system. Evacuate immediately if alarm sounds. The Halon system is designed to extinguish fires by displacing oxygen, which also makes it dangerous to anyone who doesn't evacuate before it activates. Your master key slides into the lock. Turns smoothly. The lock is well maintained, lubricated regularly, operating without stiffness or binding. The door opens inward, and immediately you feel the temperature difference. The corridor is kept at 68 degrees for staff comfort. The server room is maintained at a constant 68 degrees as well, but the cooling system that maintains this temperature creates a slight negative pressure, drawing air inward when the door opens, creating that sense of cooler air flowing past you, even though the temperatures are actually the same. You step inside, letting the door close behind you with a soft pneumatic hiss. The server room is not large, perhaps 10 feet by 15 feet, but every inch of space is utilised efficiently. 2 server racks stand against the left wall, each rack a standard 42 units tall, filled with various servers and networking equipment that constitutes Arkham's digital infrastructure. The racks are enclosed in metal frames with perforated doors that allow cooling airflow while providing some protection from physical interference. Each piece of equipment has indicator lights showing its status. Power lights glow steady green on every server, indicating adequate electrical supply. Network activity lights flicker amber in random patterns as data flows through the systems. These lights never show steady patterns because network traffic is inherently variable. Packets of data moving at irregular intervals based on what systems are doing. Hard drive activity lights blink occasionally, showing when storage systems are reading or writing data. You scan these lights systematically, looking for anything unusual. A server with no power lights would indicate a failed power supply or tripped circuit. A network light showing solid amber instead of flickering would suggest a network loop or other traffic problem. A hard drive light showing solid illumination for extended periods would indicate excessive disk activity that might point to malware or system problems. Tonight, all the patterns look normal. Random flickering activity lights, steady power indicators, the healthy signs of systems operating correctly. The sound in the server room is distinctive, a constant white noise created by dozens of cooling fans running simultaneously. Each server has its own cooling fans, maintaining adequate airflow across processors and circuit boards to prevent overheating. The combined effect is loud enough that you'd have difficulty holding a conversation in here, but not so loud as to be painful. It's the sound of active computing, of electronic systems working, a sound you've learned to find reassuring rather than annoying. The environmental monitoring system is mounted on the wall between the server racks, a digital display showing current conditions and historical trends. You approach it, checking the readings. Temperature, 68.2 degrees Fahrenheit. The slight deviation from the set point of 68.0 degrees is well within acceptable tolerance. Climate control systems cycle slightly as they maintain temperature, and variation of plus or minus half a degree is completely normal. Humidity, 44%. This is also within acceptable range. Server equipment operates best between 40 and 60% relative humidity. Too dry and static electricity becomes a problem, potentially damaging sensitive electronics. Too humid and condensation can form on cold components when equipment starts up. The 44% reading is ideal, right in the middle of the safe range. The historical trend graph on the display shows the past 24 hours of temperature and humidity data. The lines are reassuringly stable, showing only minor fluctuations as the systems cycle. No sudden spikes or drops, no unusual patterns that would suggest equipment problems or loss of control, just the steady, boring operation that good climate control should provide. You pull out your tablet, navigate to the inspection checklist for A-Wing server room. The form appears on screen, showing the items you need to verify. You tap through each item, entering data. Temperature, 68.2 degrees normal. Humidity, 44 degrees normal. Server status lights, all normal. Cooling fans operating normally. No unusual sounds detected. No unusual odours detected. That last item is important. Electronic equipment that's failing often produces distinctive smells before other symptoms appear. Overheating circuit boards smell acrid, like burning plastic. Failing capacitors can smell like ammonia or other chemicals. But tonight, the server room smells only like the neutral scent of moving air, the absence of odour that indicates everything is operating within design parameters. The backup cooling system indicator is on a separate panel near the door. This system is a redundant air conditioner that activates automatically if the primary system fails, maintaining room temperature until repairs can be made. The indicator shows green, meaning the system is in standby mode, powered and ready, but not currently running. This is correct. The backup should only activate when needed, and with the primary system working normally, the backup sits ready but idle. The fire suppression system panel is mounted beside the backup cooling indicator. This panel monitors the halon system, showing the status of detection sensors and discharge mechanisms. The display shows all zones green, system armed, no alarms, no faults. The halon tanks are pressurized and ready, the discharge heads clear and unobstructed, the control logic functioning normally. This system is tested quarterly by specialized contractors, but you check its status every shift because it's too critical to assume correct operation without verification. All checks complete, you tap the final button on your tablet. Inspection complete, all systems normal. The form timestamps itself automatically. 12:25, 11:07 p.m. 5 minutes in the server room, 5 minutes of verification that Arkham's digital infrastructure is operating correctly, that the computers and networks supporting everything from patient medical records to door access controls are functioning as required. The server room door closes behind you as you exit, the pneumatic closer ensuring it seals properly. The lock engages automatically. This door is set to remain locked at all times, requiring key access for entry. In the corridor outside, the air feels slightly warmer after the server room's constant cooling, though the temperature difference is subtle, more psychological than actual. Next stop, the electrical room that serves A-Wing. You continue down the corridor, past more dark offices, past the break room where staff gather during day shift, but which sits empty now, past the conference room where administrative meetings happen during business hours. Everything is dark, quiet, shut down for the night and the holiday. The electrical room is at the corridor's end, marked with a sign reading, "Electrical Room, Danger, High Voltage, Authorized Personnel Only." The warning is legally required, but you've always found it somewhat redundant. Anyone who doesn't know that electrical rooms contain high voltage probably shouldn't be opening the door anyway. Still, warnings exist for a reason, and this one is clear and unambiguous. Your key unlocks the door. The electrical room is small, barely larger than a closet, because it only needs to house the circuit breaker panels and associated equipment. There's no need for working space beyond room to stand in front of the panels and operate the breakers. The room contains no windows, no furniture, nothing but the electrical infrastructure mounted on the walls. 2 panels serve A-Wing, Panel A1 for the northern half of the wing, Panel A2 for the southern half. Each panel is a grey metal cabinet, approximately 3 feet tall and 2 feet wide, mounted on the wall at chest height for easy access. The panels are labelled clearly with embossed metal plates, the labelling permanent and professional, installed when the panels were originally constructed. You open Panel A1 first. The hinged cover swings out, revealing the rows of circuit breakers inside. 42 breakers, arranged in 2 columns, each breaker labelled with its load. The labels are typed, laminated, positioned beside each breaker. Offices 101, 110, corridor lighting north, HVAC control systems, server room power, emergency lighting circuit A, and dozens more specific designations. You inspect each breaker systematically, top to bottom, left column, then right column. Each breaker should be in the on position, its handle pointing toward the outside of the panel. A tripped breaker would show a handle in the middle position, between on and off, indicating that the breaker detected an overload or fault and automatically disconnected power to protect the circuit. Tonight, all 42 breakers in Panel A1 are in the on position, showing no trips, no interventions, just steady operation. You're looking for more than just breaker positions though. Heat is a problem in electrical systems. Resistance creates heat, and heat indicates potential problems. Loose connections generate excessive heat. Overloaded circuits run hot. Deteriorating components show heat signatures before they fail completely. You scan the breakers visually, looking for any discoloration on the plastic that might indicate overheating. Everything looks normal. The breakers are all the same neutral grey colour, no brown or black discoloration visible, no signs of thermal damage. You lean closer, checking for smells. Electrical problems often announce themselves through distinctive odours before visual evidence appears. Overheating insulation smells like burning plastic, acrid and chemical. Arcing connections produce an ozone smell, sharp and metallic. Serious problems can smell like burning wire, a greasy electrical smell that's unmistakable once you've encountered it. Tonight, the electrical room smells only of metal and dust, the neutral odours of equipment operating normally. The bus bars are visible behind the breakers, metal strips that carry power from the main feed to each individual breaker. These bars should be clean and smooth, free of oxidation or corrosion, showing no signs of arcing or pitting. You examine them through the clear plastic safety shields. The shields prevent accidental contact while allowing visual inspection. The bus bars look good, their copper surfaces smooth and unblemished, connections tight and secure. You close panel A1, the cover latching with a solid metallic click. Panel A2 receives the same systematic inspection. 42 breakers, all in proper position, all showing normal condition. No tripped breakers, no heat discoloration, no unusual odours. The bus bars are clean and properly connected. Everything indicates normal operation. Power flowing as designed. Circuits protected by breakers that are ready to trip if problems develop, but currently showing no need for intervention. The electrical meter mounted beside the panels shows current power consumption for A-Wing, 18.4 kilowatts. This is normal for night cycle in administrative areas, much lower than daytime consumption when computers are active, lights are at full brightness, and office equipment is running, but not zero because some systems operate continuously. The server room alone accounts for about 8 kilowatts, its equipment running 24 hours a day. The remainder is corridor lighting, emergency systems, the HVAC controls, and the various loads that never shut down completely. You document the inspection on your tablet. Electrical panels A1 and A2 inspected, all breakers normal position, no anomalies observed, current load 18.4 kilobytes within normal parameters. The timestamp records 11:14 p.m. 7 minutes for the electrical room inspection. Not rushed but efficient, the practiced speed of someone who knows exactly what to look for and how to find it. The fire alarm panel is in this electrical room as well, mounted beside the circuit breaker panels. Fire alarm systems are separate from general electrical distribution. They have their own dedicated power supply and battery backup that keeps them operational even during power failures. But they're often housed in electrical rooms for convenience of access, and because electrical rooms are typically secure, limited access spaces where sensitive equipment can be protected. The fire alarm panel for A-Wing is a modern, addressable system, installed during renovations 6 years ago. The display is a touchscreen showing a schematic map of the wing, with small icons representing each smoke detector, heat detector, and manual pull station. All icons are currently green, indicating normal operation. The status bar at the top shows system normal, no alarms, no trouble conditions, battery backup, 98%. You tap through the menu screens, checking different status reports. Zone status, all zones normal. Device status, all devices reporting normal. Power status, AC power present, battery voltage 27.8 volts fully charged. Communication status, all devices responding to polling, no communication failures. Historical log, no events recorded since your last shift, nothing but routine system tests, and the periodic polling signals that the system sends to verify devices are still connected and functioning. The battery backup is critical. If main power fails, the fire alarm system needs to continue operating, sounding alarms and monitoring detectors until power is restored or evacuation is complete. The battery is tested automatically by the system, discharged slightly, and recharged to verify it's holding charge properly. The 98% reading indicates the battery is in excellent condition, capable of running the system for the required 24 hours of backup operation. You document the fire alarm check. A-wing fire alarm system normal, all zones operational, battery backup charged and ready. The tablet timestamps the entry, 11:17 p.m. The mechanical room for A-wing is your next stop, located in the basement level, accessible by a stairwell at the end of the administrative corridor. The stairwell door is heavy, fire-rated steel, designed to resist fire for at least 90 minutes and to close automatically to contain smoke if fire breaks out. You pull it open, the door is weighted to swing closed on its own, and step into the stairwell, letting the door close behind you with a pneumatic whoosh as its automatic closer activates. The stairwell is concrete, utilitarian, built for function rather than aesthetics. The walls are unpainted concrete block, the steps poured concrete with metal anti-slip strips embedded in their edges. A metal handrail runs down the right side, bolted to the wall at regular intervals. The lighting is provided by caged fixtures every 8 feet, industrial units designed to resist vandalism and continue operating even if the glass covers are broken. Your footsteps echo as you descend, the hard surfaces reflecting sound, creating that acoustic quality unique to concrete stairwells. The sound is hollow, slightly reverberant, each footfall generating echoes that overlap and blur. It's a sound you've heard thousands of times, descending into basement mechanical rooms, a sound that's become associated, in your mind, with the work of checking the building's infrastructure. The temperature drops as you descend. The stairwell isn't heated to the same level as the occupied floors. It's considered a transition space, not requiring the comfort levels of offices or patient areas. The basement level is cooler still, its concrete walls and floor conducting heat away, the space maintained at perhaps 55 degrees, cool enough that you're glad for your insulated work jacket. The door at the bottom of the stairs opens into the basement corridor, a space that runs beneath the administrative wing, providing access to mechanical rooms and storage areas. The corridor is narrower than those above, with lower ceilings, the space constrained by the structural requirements of supporting the floors above. The walls here are concrete block, painted a utilitarian grey that's lighter than the unpainted block in the stairwell, but still clearly chosen for durability rather than appearance. The A-wing mechanical room is 20 feet down this corridor, behind a door marked "Mechanical Room, No Unauthorized Access." The door is steel, windowless, secured with a lock that your master key opens. The key turns, the lock disengages, and you pull the door open into a space that's immediately warmer than the corridor outside. Mechanical rooms are always warm, heated by the equipment they contain. The machinery generates waste heat during operation, and while some of this heat is exhausted outside or used for building heating, enough remains to keep mechanical rooms significantly warmer than surrounding spaces. The A-wing mechanical room is probably 75 degrees, warm enough that you'll be comfortable even in just your work shirt if you need to spend extended time here. The room is approximately 12 feet by 20 feet, large enough to house the equipment it contains, but not wastefully spacious. Every square foot in a building has value, and mechanical rooms are sized to accommodate equipment, with enough room for service access but no more. The space is organised efficiently, equipment positioned to allow maintenance while minimising the room's footprint. The air handling unit dominates the room, a large steel cabinet, approximately 6 feet tall and 8 feet long, painted industrial beige, with large ducting connections on both ends where supply and return air enter and exit. The unit is running as it should be, the sound of its internal fan creating a steady whoosh of moving air. This unit provides heating, cooling, and ventilation to all of A-Wing's administrative offices, processing thousands of cubic feet of air per hour, maintaining the temperature and air quality that occupied spaces require. You approach the unit's control panel mounted on the front face at eye level. The panel is digital, showing current operating status on a small LCD screen. You read the display: supply air temp, 70 hoto decrease return air temp, 68 fan speed, 75% cooling, off heating, active filter, status, OK system mode, automatic. All of these readings are normal for nighttime operation in December. The supply air temperature of 72 degrees is appropriate for maintaining the administrative wing at its programmed 65-degree nighttime set point. The supply air is warmer than the desired room temperature because it mixes with room air and loses heat through ductwork. The return air temperature of 68 degrees indicates the offices are slightly warmer than their set point, which is normal. Equipment and lights generate some heat even during night cycle, and the system compensates by reducing heating output slightly. The fan speed at 75% is the programmed night cycle speed. During the day, the fan runs at full speed to handle higher cooling and heating loads created by occupancy, equipment use, and solar heat gain through windows. At night, with offices empty and reduced loads, the system saves energy by reducing fan speed while still maintaining adequate air circulation. You open the access panel on the side of the air handling unit, exposing the air filter for visual inspection. The filter is a pleated design, approximately 2 feet by 4 feet, designed to capture dust, pollen, and other airborne particles before they can accumulate in the ductwork or damage the fan and coils. The filter is rated MERV right, a medium efficiency that balances filtration effectiveness against airflow resistance and cost. This particular filter was installed 3 weeks ago during routine maintenance, and it still looks relatively clean. Some dust accumulation is visible on the upstream face, a light grey coating that shows the filter is capturing particles as designed, but the pleats aren't clogged, airflow isn't restricted, and the overall condition is good. Filters in administrative areas typically last 6 to 8 weeks before requiring replacement, and this one is tracking toward the expected lifespan. You close the access panel, the latches clicking into place, and move to the next component, the condensate drain pan beneath the cooling coil. In cooling mode during summer, the cooling coil operates below the dew point temperature, causing moisture from the air to condense on the coil's cold surfaces. This condensation drips into the drain pan beneath the coil, and from there flows through a drain pipe to the building's waste system. During December, the system is in heating mode, and the coil isn't cold enough to generate condensation. The drain pan should be dry, which is what you find when you check it. A clean metal pan with no standing water, no algae growth, no signs of drainage problems. You check anyway, despite knowing what you'll find, because thorough inspection means checking everything regardless of season. Discovering that something is normal is just as valuable as finding problems, because it confirms that your expectations match reality. The heating components in this air handling unit are electric resistance heaters, coils of high resistance wire that generate heat when electric current flows through them, similar in principle to a toaster or space heater, but scaled up for building HVAC use. The heaters are controlled by the building management system, activating and deactivating based on temperature sensors and programmed set points. When active, the heaters glow cherry red, radiating heat that's carried away by the fan and distributed through the ductwork. The heater status light on the control panel shows amber, indicating the heaters are currently active, maintaining the supply air temperature at 72 degrees. You can feel the heat radiating from the discharge duct. The metal is warm to the touch, confirming that the heaters are operating and heat is being delivered to the building. The electrical current meter on the control panel shows 23 amps flowing to the heaters, consistent with normal operation. You check the belt that drives the fan, even though this unit's fan is direct drive and doesn't have a belt. You check anyway, because the habit of systematic inspection means going through all the steps regardless of what you expect to find. Confirming the absence of something is documentation, proving you checked rather than assumed. The thermostat programming for A-Wing is handled centrally through the building management system, but the mechanical room has a manual override control for emergencies. You verify the override is in normal mode, not engaged, allowing the building system to control operations as designed. The temperature set point display shows 65 degrees for nighttime, programmed to rise to 68 degrees at 6 AM when the building prepares for day shift arrival. All checks complete, you document everything on your tablet. A-Wing mechanical room inspected, air handling unit operational, supply temperature 76 degrees, return temperature 68 degrees, fan operating at 75% speed, filter condition, good, heating system active and functioning normally, no issues observed. The timestamp records 11:28 PM. You exit the mechanical room, ensuring the door locks behind you, then return to the stairwell for the climb back to ground level. The ascent is slightly more difficult than the descent. Climbing stairs requires more physical effort than descending, but it's not challenging, just mild exertion that gets your heart rate up slightly. Good for circulation and alertness during a long night shift. Back on the ground floor, you pause at a water fountain in the corridor, pressing the button to activate the flow. The water is cold, chilled by the building's central system, and you drink deeply, hydrating after the warm mechanical room and the physical activity of stairs. Hydration is important on night shift, easy to forget, easy to neglect, but crucial for maintaining alertness and physical function during 8 hours of walking and working. Your watch shows 11:32 PM. A-Wing is complete, all systems checked, all equipment verified operational, all readings within normal parameters. The administrative wing of Arkham Asylum is functioning exactly as it should, its infrastructure quietly performing the work of keeping a building habitable and safe. But A-Wing is only one of 6 wings. B-Wing awaits, then C-Wing, then the increased security protocols of D-Wing, where Billy Hayes sleeps in his decorated cell. The night is young. The rounds continue. The systematic inspection of systems proceeds, one wing at a time, one check at a time, building the comprehensive picture of a facility operating normally. You head toward the security checkpoint that separates A-Wing from B-Wing, your badge ready, your tablet documenting your progress, the radio on your belt connecting you to anyone who might need to reach you during this Christmas Eve night shift at Arkham Asylum. The security checkpoint between A-Wing and B-Wing requires badge access at 2 points, a security measure implemented years ago after an incident you weren't working here for, but which apparently justified the added layer of control. The first badge reader is mounted on the wall beside a heavy door, the reader's blue LED glowing softly in the dim corridor lighting. You swipe your badge through the reader with the practiced motion of thousands of repetitions, the exact speed, the exact angle, the motion so automatic now that you could do it blindfolded. The reader beeps acceptance, the LED flashes green, the electromagnetic lock disengages with its characteristic clunk, and you pull the door open, stepping through into a small vestibule that serves as the transition space between wings. The door closes behind you automatically, pneumatic closer, ensuring it seals, and you wait 3 seconds for the lock to re-engage before approaching the second door. The second badge reader goes through the same sequence: swipe, beep, green flash, clunk of lock disengaging. You pull the door open and step into B-Wing proper, the patient housing area, where the atmosphere immediately feels different from the administrative wing you've just left. B-Wing houses medium security patients, individuals who require psychiatric care in a secure setting but who are considered less dangerous than maximum security populations. The security measures here reflect this middle ground. Doors that lock but aren't as heavily reinforced as D-Wing, monitoring that's constant but not quite as intensive, staff ratios that allow for therapeutic interaction while maintaining safety. At 11:35 p.m, B-Wing is quiet in the way that patient areas are quiet at night. Not silent, you can hear the ambient sounds of occupied space, the occasional movement behind locked doors, the hum of ventilation systems, the distant murmur of a television playing in someone's cell. But the activity level is low. Patients secured for the night. The wing settled into its sleeping rhythm. The corridor in B-Wing is wider than administrative corridors, designed to accommodate patient movement, staff escorts, emergency response equipment. The walls are a different colour here, a soft blue-grey rather than administrative beige, chosen for therapeutic purposes rather than pure functionality. The theory is that colour affects mood, that blue tones promote calm, that the environment should support treatment rather than simply contain people. Whether this actually works is debatable, but the walls are blue-grey regardless, repainted in this colour every time maintenance cycles come around. The lighting is dimmed for night cycle, reduced to perhaps 60% of daytime brightness. This serves multiple purposes. It reduces stimulation for patients trying to sleep, saves energy, and creates a visual cue that night has arrived, even in a windowless interior corridor. The dimming is controlled automatically by the building management system, programmed to reduce lighting at 10 p.m. and restore full brightness at 6 a.m. You pass the central security station, a reinforced room with large windows overlooking the corridor, where a security officer monitors camera feeds and controls door locks for the wing. The officer tonight is someone you don't recognize, probably a newer hire, someone who's drawn Christmas Eve duty because of limited seniority. They look up as you pass, note your facility's uniform, return to their monitoring without challenge. You're expected, logged into the system as conducting rounds, not requiring interaction unless problems arise. Your route takes you directly to the basement stairs, avoiding the patient common areas and cell corridors that branch off from the main corridor. Facility staff don't interact with patients, except when absolutely necessary for maintenance work. And tonight your work is in mechanical spaces, not patient areas. You maintain the professional boundary that separates your role from treatment staff, focusing on the infrastructure that supports care rather than the care itself. The stairwell in B-Wing is identical to A-Wing's stairwell. Concrete construction, metal handrails, caged light fixtures, the same utilitarian design that prioritizes function and durability. You descend, your footsteps echoing, the sound bouncing off hard surfaces, creating that familiar acoustic signature of concrete stairwells. The basement level is cooler, the same 55 degrees or so that basements maintain when they're not actively heated to comfort levels. The corridor is dimmer here too, lit only by safety lighting since the basement isn't regularly occupied space. The mechanical room is 30 feet from the stairwell, behind another locked door that your master key opens. The B-Wing mechanical room is larger than A-Wing's room because B-Wing is larger, has more square footage, more occupied space requiring heating and cooling. The room is perhaps 15 feet by 25 feet, with higher ceilings to accommodate larger ductwork. The air handling unit here is a different model than A-Wing's unit, newer, installed 5 years ago during renovations that updated much of B-Wing's infrastructure. The unit is running quietly, more quietly than the older A-Wing unit, the benefit of newer technology and better engineering. Modern HVAC equipment is designed for reduced noise levels, important in patient areas where excessive mechanical noise can be disruptive. You approach the control panel, reading the status display. Supply air temp. 72 degrees return, air temp, 69 degrees fan speed, 80% cooling, off heating, active filter, status OK damper. Position 15% outside air system. Mode automatic. The readings are normal. The supply temperature of 72 degrees is standard for winter heating. The return temperature of 69 degrees indicates the patient areas are maintaining their program temperature of 70 degrees. Patient comfort standards are slightly higher than administrative standards, and temperatures are maintained constant day and night because the patient population is present continuously. The fan speed is 80%, higher than A-Wing's 75%, reflecting the higher occupancy and greater ventilation requirements of patient areas. Building codes require specific minimum air changes per hour in occupied healthcare spaces, and the fan must run at adequate speed to meet these requirements. The damper position reading shows 15% outside air. This is the minimum fresh air intake required by code, bringing in outside air to dilute indoor air and maintain air quality. During extreme cold or hot weather, the system reduces outside air intake to minimize the energy needed to heat or cool that air, but it never goes below the code-required minimum. You open the filter access panel, revealing a filter that's larger than A-Wing's filter, 3 feet by 4 feet, MERV 11 rated for higher efficiency filtration in patient areas. The filter looks clean, perhaps 20% of its service life consumed, installed 2 weeks ago during routine maintenance. Patient areas cycle through filters faster than administrative areas because of higher occupancy and activity, but this filter has plenty of life remaining before replacement is needed. The condensate drain pan is dry, expected in heating season. You check it anyway. Systematic inspection, meaning you verify everything regardless of season or expectation. The heating coils are active. You can see the glow of the resistance elements through the access port, cherry red wires radiating heat that's carried away by the moving airstream. The hot water heater for B-Wing is in this mechanical room as well, a large commercial unit that provides domestic hot water to all the cell sinks, bathrooms, and shower facilities in the wing. This is a different type of water heater than residential units, a commercial gas-fired model with a large storage tank and high recovery rate, capable of meeting the simultaneous demands of dozens of users. You check the control panel on the water heater. Water temperature 125 degrees, set point 125 degrees, burner status, standby, pressure 28, PSI system normal. The temperature reading of 125 degrees is correct for patient care facilities, hot enough for effective hand washing and sanitization, not so hot as to create scalding risk. The system includes a tempering valve that mixes cold water with the hot water before distribution, ensuring that no outlet can deliver water above 120 degrees even if someone opens only the hot tap. The burner is in standby mode, indicating the tank temperature is at set point and no heating is currently needed. The burner will fire automatically when temperature drops below set point, maintaining the programmed 125 degrees continuously. The pressure reading of 28 psi is normal. Domestic water systems typically operate between 25 and 50 psi, and 28 is well within the optimal range. You place your hand on the exterior of the water heater tank, feeling for unusual heat that might indicate insulation failure. The tank should be warm but not hot to touch. Good insulation keeps heat inside where it belongs rather than radiating into the mechanical room. The tank feels appropriately warm, neither cold, which would indicate no hot water, nor excessively hot, which would indicate insulation problems. The insulation is working as designed. The electrical panel for B-Wing is mounted on the wall opposite the water heater, a large cabinet containing the circuit breakers that distribute power throughout the wing. This panel is bigger than A-Wing's panels, serving more circuits because B-Wing has more occupied space, more equipment, more electrical loads requiring power. You open the panel door, revealing rows of circuit breakers, 64 breakers in total, arranged in 4 columns, each breaker labelled with its load. The labels are comprehensive. Patient rooms, 201, 210, corridor lighting B East, nurse station equipment, emergency lighting B Wing, security camera circuit 2, and dozens more specific designations. You scan the breakers systematically, checking each one. All 64 breakers are in the on position, none showing the middle position that would indicate a trip. No heat discoloration is visible on any breaker housing. No unusual odours are present. The panel smells only of metal and dust, the neutral scent of electrical equipment operating normally. The bus bars behind the breakers are visible through safety shields, and they look clean and properly connected. No signs of arcing, no oxidation, no loose connections that would generate heat and create problems. The panel is in good condition, the electrical distribution working as designed. The main current meter on the panel shows B-Wing's total power consumption, 47.2 kilowatts. This is higher than A-Wing's 18.4 kilowatts, reflecting the larger space and continuous occupancy. Even at night, patient areas consume significant power. Lighting in corridors and common areas, security systems, medical monitoring equipment, the nurse station computers, cell televisions, bathroom lighting, and numerous other loads that never shut down completely. You document the electrical inspection. B-Wing electrical panel inspected. All 64 breakers, normal position. No anomalies observed. Current load 47.2 kilotall within normal parameters. The tablet timestamps the entry, 11:49 p.m. The fire alarm panel for B-Wing is beside the electrical panel, a larger and more sophisticated unit than A-Wing's panel because B-Wing has more devices to monitor. The touchscreen display shows a detailed map of the wing with dozens of small icons representing smoke detectors in each patient room, heat detectors in mechanical spaces, pull stations at corridor exits, and duct detectors in the HVAC system. All icons are green. The status bar shows system normal, no alarms, no trouble conditions, battery backup. 97%, last test, 12:20 passed. You tap through the menus, checking zone reports, device status, communication logs. Everything shows normal operation. The system is polling all devices every 30 seconds, confirming they're connected and responding. The battery backup is charged and tested. The communication network is functioning without errors. The historical log shows no events except routine system tests. One item catches your attention in the maintenance log. Annual inspection due 01/15/2026. The fire alarm system requires annual inspection by certified technicians, testing all devices, verifying proper operation, documenting compliance with fire safety codes. The inspection is scheduled for January, about 3 weeks away, which is appropriate. Inspections are typically scheduled to occur before the due date, rather than waiting until the last moment. You document the fire alarm check, B-Wing fire alarm system normal, all devices operational, battery backup charged, annual inspection scheduled. Timestamp 11:53 p.m. You exit the mechanical room, locking the door behind you, then climb the stairs back to ground level. The ascent is familiar now. The same concrete steps, the same echoing footfalls, the same transition from the cool basement to the warmer occupied floors. Your legs are getting their workout tonight. Each wing requires a basement trip, and by the end of the shift you'll have climbed and descended these stairs 6 times. Good for cardiovascular health, even if it's not intentional exercise. Back on the ground floor you pause to catch your breath and check your watch. 11:56 p.m. B-Wing completes in 21 minutes, slightly faster than A-Wing but still methodical and thorough. You're making good time, which is fortunate because D-Wing awaits, and D-Wing will take longer due to the special inspection of Billy Hayes' cell. The corridor between B-Wing and C-Wing doesn't require the double badge security of the A to B transition. Both B and C are patient areas with similar security levels, so movement between them is simpler. A single badge swipe opens the door, and you step through into C-Wing. C-Wing is laid out identically to B-Wing. Same corridor width, same room arrangements, same general configuration. The patient population is different, housed in a different therapeutic unit with different treatment protocols. But from a facilities perspective, the wings are essentially mirrors of each other. Same mechanical systems, same electrical infrastructure, same fire safety equipment. The security officer at C-Wing's control station nods as you pass. This one you recognise, Officer Thompson, someone who's been at Arkham almost as long as you have. Thompson doesn't interrupt your rounds, just acknowledges your presence with a raised hand, then returns to monitoring the bank of screens, showing camera feeds from throughout the wing. You head directly to the basement stairs, descending once again into the cooler underground spaces where mechanical equipment lives and works. The C-Wing mechanical room is at the end of the basement corridor, behind the same type of locked steel door that marks all mechanical rooms. Inside, the layout is familiar: another air handling unit, another hot water heater, another electrical panel, all arranged in the same general configuration as B-Wing. The equipment is similar, installed during the same renovation project, operating under the same principles and serving the same functions. You check the air handler first. Supply temperature 72 degrees, return temperature 69 degrees, fan at 80%, all readings normal. The filter is in good condition, the heating coils are active, the system is maintaining programmed temperatures without issues. The mechanical rhythm of HVAC inspection is becoming automatic now. Your hands and eyes moving through the checks without conscious thought, muscle memory and pattern recognition doing much of the work. The hot water heater shows 125 degrees, pressure at 27 psi, burner in standby mode. Everything normal. The electrical panel has all breakers in correct position. No heat damage, no unusual conditions. Current load is 45.8 kilowatts, slightly lower than B-Wing, but within expected range given minor differences in occupancy and equipment. The fire alarm panel shows all green indicators, battery backup at 98%, system normal. You document everything systematically, the tablet recording each check with timestamps that create a digital trail of your progress through the building. C-Wing complete at 12:11 a.m, 2 patient wings checked, all systems operational, everything functioning as designed. The pattern is reassuring, each wing showing the same normal operation, the infrastructure quietly doing its job without drama or surprise. This is what good maintenance looks like: boring, predictable, reliable operation that requires checking but rarely requires intervention. But now comes D-Wing, maximum security. Different protocols, stricter access control, and the special inspection. That's the reason this particular Christmas Eve shift will be slightly different from every other Christmas Eve shift you've worked at Arkham. You head toward the security checkpoint that separates C-Wing from D-Wing, pulling out your badge, preparing for the double-door man-trap and the security verification that D-Wing requires. Behind one of those locked doors, in cell 0847, Billy Hayes is either sleeping or lying awake, surrounded by paper snowflakes and homemade Christmas decorations, waiting for tomorrow when someone will tell him whether his decorations pass safety inspection. The checkpoint door beeps as you swipe your badge. The first door opens. You step into the man-trap, waiting for the door to close behind you before approaching the second door. The intercom crackles. Facilities Supervisor, D-Wing Control. You key the mic. Facilities Supervisor conducting scheduled rounds including special inspection, per work order 847. Copy that. Access granted. Officer Davies is en route to meet you at the mechanical room for escort. The second door opens. You step into D-Wing, into the increased security and heightened awareness that maximum security requires. Into the wing, where the asylum's most challenging patients live behind locked doors and constant monitoring. The atmosphere in D-Wing is different. You've always felt it, even after dozens of visits, even with complete confidence in the security protocols and staff competence. There's a weight here, a sense that the people behind these doors are dangerous in ways that require constant vigilance. The walls seem thicker, The doors more solid, the cameras more numerous. Everything about the environment communicates security, containment, control. The corridor lighting is brighter in D-Wing than in B or C, maintaining full illumination even during night cycle. Security staff need clear visibility at all times, monitoring through cameras and direct observation, unable to accept the reduced lighting that other patient areas use. The bright lights create a different mood, more clinical, more institutional, less conducive to sleep perhaps, but necessary for safety. You walk toward the basement stairs, passing cell doors that have small observation windows at eye level. Most windows are dark, patients sleeping or at least lying quietly. A few show the blue glow of television screens. One shows a patient standing at the door, face pressed against the window, watching you pass with interest. You don't make eye contact, don't engage, maintaining the professional distance that facilities staff are trained to observe. The basement stairs in D-Wing descend into what feels like increased security, even underground. The mechanical room door here requires both key and badge access, dual authentication, ensuring that only specifically authorized personnel can enter spaces that contain building infrastructure in a maximum security wing. The mechanical room is the largest you've encountered tonight, because D-Wing's mechanical systems are the newest and most sophisticated in the building. The wing was renovated 8 years ago, and the designers took the opportunity to upgrade everything. Newer air handlers with variable speed drives and advanced controls, more efficient water heaters with redundant safety systems, expanded electrical capacity to support modern monitoring and security equipment. The air handler in D-Wing is impressive, a large unit with a digital control system that displays more information than the older units in other wings. The screen shows not just basic temperatures and fan speed, but also damper positions, filter pressure drop, coil temperatures, energy consumption, and predictive maintenance alerts based on operating hours and performance trends. You're reviewing these displays when Officer Davies arrives, her keys jangling as she enters the mechanical room. She's wearing the standard D-Wing security uniform, black tactical pants and shirt, duty belt with radio, keys, flashlight, and other equipment, the more serious appearance that maximum security requires. "Evening, Marcus," Davies says. "Still want to call it evening when we're past midnight?" "Morning works," you reply, eyes still on the air handler display. "How's Christmas in D-Wing?" "Quiet so far. Billy Hayes has been asking every officer on shift whether facilities has arrived yet. He's very invested in getting approval for his decorations." You make notes on the tablet. D-Wing air handler operational, all parameters normal, variable speed drive functioning correctly, energy consumption within expected range. "What's he like, Hayes? I've never actually met him." Davies leans against the wall, settling into conversation mode. "He's probably the easiest patient we have in max security. Completely compliant with rules, never aggressive, participates in all his programming. The only time he gets animated is around Christmas. It's like he has two modes, quiet and cooperative most of the year, then excited and energetic from Thanksgiving through New Year's." The psychiatrists think that's healthy. Dr. Chen says it's a positive coping mechanism. Whatever's going on in his head, channeling it into Christmas decorations and activities is better than a lot of alternatives. And he's been stable for 6 years now. No incidents, no regressions, steady progress in therapy. Just not enough progress for discharge, apparently. You finish checking the mechanical systems, documenting everything on the tablet. D-Wing mechanical room complete, all systems operational, no issues observed. Timestamp 12:24 a.m. "Ready to check the Christmas cell?" Davies asks. You nod, gathering your tablet and following her out of the mechanical room. Back up the stairs to ground level, toward the cell corridor, where patient 0847 lives behind a locked door, surrounded by paper snowflakes and the holiday spirit he spent 3 months creating. Time to see what Christmas looks like in maximum security. The cell corridor in D wing is different from corridors in other wings. The doors here are more substantial, solid steel with small reinforced windows, designed to contain rather than simply separate. The spacing between doors is wider, giving each cell more isolation, reducing the ability of patients to communicate with neighbours. The floor is polished concrete rather than vinyl tile, chosen for durability, and because it can't be torn up or used to create weapons. Officer Davies walks slightly ahead of you, her keys ready, her body language alert without being tense. She's done this thousands of times, escorted maintenance staff into patient areas, supervised interactions that require both security and the completion of necessary work. The routine is practiced, professional, built on protocols that have been refined through years of experience in maximum security psychiatric care. You pass several cells before reaching a SO 847. Most have their lights off, darkness visible through the observation windows. A few show patients lying on bunks, awake but quiet, watching television, or simply staring at ceilings. One patient stands at his door as you approach, face pressed against the window, eyes tracking your movement, but he doesn't call out or bang on the door. D-wing patients learn quickly that such behaviour doesn't get positive results. Cell EO847 is fourth on the left. Davies stops at the door, peers through the observation window, checking the patient's location and status before opening the door. She looks for several seconds, then turns to you with a slight smile. "You're going to want to see this," she says. She unlocks the door with her key. The locks in D-wing require both key and electronic access, dual systems ensuring security even if one system fails. The electronic reader beeps as Davies swipes her badge. The key turns in the mechanical lock. She calls through the door. "Billy, facilities supervisor is here to check your decorations. You need to stay on your bunk while we're in the room. Hands visible at all times. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma'am." The voice from inside is cheerful, eager, containing an enthusiasm that's unexpected in a maximum security cell at midnight. "Thank you for coming. I've been so excited about this." Davies opens the door, and you see Billy Hayes for the first time. He's sitting cross-legged on his bunk, hands resting on his knees as protocol requires, body language completely non-threatening, posture open and cooperative. He's 27 but looks younger, with a thin face that hasn't quite lost its boyish quality. Dark hair cut short in the institutional style, wearing standard issue pajamas that are faded from countless washings. His expression is one of pure, unguarded excitement, the kind of joy you associate with children on Christmas morning, rather than maximum security patients at midnight. But what captures your attention, what makes Davies' comment about wanting to see this completely understandable, is the cell itself. The space has been transformed. A standard D-wing cell is spartanly furnished by necessity. A bed, a small desk with an attached chair, a stainless steel toilet and sink combination, a narrow shelf for personal items, all designed for durability and safety rather than comfort. The walls are painted, institutional white. The floor is polished concrete. The overall effect is deliberately neutral, providing shelter without personality, containment without warmth. Billy Hayes' cell is no longer neutral. It has become a Christmas wonderland, created entirely from approved materials and constructed with obsessive attention to detail. The walls are covered with paper snowflakes, not dozens, hundreds, each one cut from magazine pages and newspaper, each one unique, each one perfectly symmetrical, with the precise geometry that only careful folding and cutting can produce. The snowflakes are arranged in layers, creating depth, some attached directly to the walls, others suspended on threads at varying distances, generating the impression of snow falling through three-dimensional space. The effect is remarkable. The flat white walls have become a winter scene. The institutional environment transformed into something that suggests cold beauty and crystalline wonder. The window, a narrow slot positioned high on the wall for security reasons, has been outlined with a garland made from twisted strips of paper. The strips have been coloured with markers to create candy cane patterns, red and white spirals that catch the overhead light. Above the window, a star constructed from cardboard and aluminum foil from commissary items is mounted, multi-pointed and reflective, serving as a focal point that draws the eye upward. The desk has been converted into a display space. The centerpiece is a nativity scene, figures created from papier-mâché and painted with watercolors from the art therapy program. The craftsmanship is impressive. Mary and Joseph are recognizable as distinct individuals, their robes draped with painted folds that suggest fabric movement. The infant in the manger is small, proportional, wrapped in cloth strips that give texture. 3 wise men approach from the left, each carrying gifts rendered in miniature detail. Shepherds with staffs stand to the right, accompanied by sheep that are cottony puffs of torn paper, given shape and form. The stable itself is architectural, constructed from popsicle sticks, glued together with the precision of actual carpentry. The walls are individual sticks placed vertically. The roof, thatched with torn paper strips, layered to suggest hay or straw. A star hangs above the stable on a thread, positioning it directly over the manger scene as tradition requires. Beside the nativity stands a Christmas tree, perhaps 18 inches tall, constructed entirely from rolled paper cones. The cones are stacked in decreasing sizes, creating the classic conical tree shape, each cone carefully positioned and glued to create a stable structure. The tree is decorated with tiny ornaments, each one hand-painted on small circles of paper, cut from magazine pages, miniature Santa faces, candy canes, stars, bells, presents, all rendered in coloured pencil and marker with surprising detail considering their tiny size. A star tops the tree, more aluminum foil, crafted into a 5-pointed shape that catches the light. Beneath the tree are wrapped presents, small boxes from commissary items, wrapped in paper decorated with hand-drawn patterns, suggesting wrapping paper designs. The shelf holds a row of Christmas cards, homemade, standing upright like decorations. Each card features a different design: snowmen with coal buttons and carrot noses, Christmas trees hung with ornaments, Santa Claus figures with white beards and red suits, reindeer with antlers and bells. The artwork is careful, detailed, showing skill developed through hours of practice. It's beautiful. It's obsessive. It's the work of someone who has invested enormous time and creative energy into transforming a 10-foot by 12-foot cell into a celebration of a holiday, using only the limited materials available to a maximum security psychiatric patient. Billy Hayes watches your face as you take in the scene, his expression eager for reaction. "What do you think?" he asks, voice hopeful, slightly tentative, seeking approval. "I started working on it the day after Thanksgiving. I wanted to have everything ready before Christmas Eve. Did I make it in time?" You're here to conduct a safety inspection, not to offer artistic critique, but the question demands acknowledgement. "You've put a tremendous amount of work into this," you say, keeping your tone professional, but not cold. "The detail is impressive." Billy's face lights up with genuine pleasure. "Thank you. I love Christmas. It's my favourite time of the whole year. When I was a kid, my mum made Christmas special. Decorations everywhere, cookies baking, Christmas music playing all day. She really knew how to make it magical." His expression becomes wistful, nostalgic. "That was before everything happened, before I got sick, but I remember how it felt, and I wanted to feel that way again this year. I wanted to have a real Christmas." Davies stands by the door, monitoring, allowing the conversation, but ready to intervene, if needed. You pull out your tablet, accessing the inspection checklist. Beginning the work you're actually here to perform. The inspection parameters are specific: fire hazards, emergency equipment access, structural modifications, anything that might compromise safety or security. You approach the walls first, examining the snowflakes attached there. The attachment method is toothpaste from the commissary. Billy has used toothpaste as an improvised adhesive, applying small dabs that hold the paper snowflakes against the painted surface. It's clever, using an allowed material in an innovative way, and it's not a fire hazard. Toothpaste won't burn, and the paper snowflakes themselves are only dangerous if an ignition source exists. There's no ignition source in the cell, no candles, no matches, no electrical devices that could spark. You check each wall systematically, verifying that the snowflakes don't cover any safety equipment. The smoke detector on the ceiling is clear, unobstructed, able to detect any smoke that might accumulate. The fire sprinkler head is similarly clear, nothing blocking its operation if activation becomes necessary. The emergency call button beside the door is accessible, visible, not covered by decorations. Everything meets safety requirements. The garland around the window is examined next. The twisted paper strips are attached with more toothpaste, not blocking the window's operation. D-wing windows don't open from the inside, they're fixed glazing, but emergency responders can break them from outside if necessary, and the garland won't interfere with that. The aluminum foil star above the window is thin enough that it poses no hazard, light enough that it couldn't injure anyone if it fell, secured well enough that it's not likely to fall anyway. You move to the desk, examining the nativity scene with the careful attention that safety inspection requires. The figures are paper and glue. The stable is popsicle sticks and white glue. All materials from approved art therapy supplies. No candles anywhere, which is critical. Many traditional nativity displays include candles, but Billy has understood the rules and worked within them. The glue is checked for excessive application that might create flammable buildup, but the amounts used are modest, appropriate for the construction, not creating hazards. The Christmas tree receives similar scrutiny. You test its stability, gently pushing to see if it wobbles or tips. The structure is solid, the stacked cones glued together effectively, the base wide enough to prevent toppling. The ornaments hanging from threads could theoretically be a strangulation risk, but the threads are short. The ornaments light, the risk negligible. You check the threads anyway, confirming they're not strong enough to support dangerous weight, not long enough to create loops that might be problematic. I was really careful about safety, Billy says, watching your inspection with nervous attention. Dr. Chen gave me the rules. No candles, no electrical stuff, nothing that could be dangerous. I just wanted it to be beautiful and Christmassy. I didn't want to cause any problems or make anyone worry. You followed the rules correctly, you confirm, making notes on the tablet. All the materials you used are approved items. The construction methods are appropriate. You check under the bed, the space where patients sometimes store items in ways that create fire-loading hazards or security concerns. Billy's space is cleaner than most cells you've inspected. A few cardboard boxes hold his art supplies, organised neatly. Nothing excessive or concerning. The boxes themselves are from commissary items, allowed possessions, presenting no hazards. The final check is the overhead space and ceiling area. In some cells, patients have been known to attach items to ceiling fixtures or ventilation grills, creating problems. Billy's ceiling. Decorations, the suspended snowflakes, are hung from threads attached to the existing sprinkler pipe that runs along the ceiling. The threads are positioned carefully to avoid interfering with the sprinkler heads, and they're not strong enough to support dangerous weight. The modification is creative, but not problematic. You step back, reviewing the entire cell one more time, ensuring you haven't missed anything. The inspection checklist on your tablet is complete. Fire hazards, none identified emergency equipment access, all equipment accessible and unobstructed, smoke detector, clear and operational sprinkler system, not impaired by decorations, electrical hazards, no electrical items present, no hazards, structural modifications, none. All decorations are temporary and removable. Materials used, all approved commissary and art therapy items. Overall assessment, no safety violations found. You tap the final entry. Inspection complete. No hazards identified. Decorations approved to remain in place through holiday period. Billy has been watching anxiously during this final review, his hands clasped together, body language tense with hope and worry. When you lower the tablet and turn to face him, his expression is one of desperate anticipation. Everything checks out, you tell him. No fire hazards identified. You followed all the safety protocols correctly. From a facility standpoint, your decorations are approved. The transformation in Billy's face is remarkable. Relief and joy flooding in simultaneously. Tension releasing, a smile spreading that's completely genuine and unguarded. Really? So I can keep everything up through Christmas? That's not my decision alone, you clarify, maintaining professional boundaries. Dr. Chen will make the final determination, but my inspection found no safety problems. I'll file this report noting approval from the facility's perspective. Thank you, Billy says, his voice thick with emotion. Thank you so much. I really wanted to have Christmas this year, a real Christmas with decorations and everything. This means so much to me, more than you probably know. Davies catches your eye, giving a small nod that indicates it's time to conclude the visit. You've completed the inspection, provided the information requested, fulfilled the work order requirements. Extended interaction isn't necessary or advisable. You're not treatment staff, and prolonged conversation crosses boundaries that professional practice requires maintaining. You input final notes into the tablet, officially closing work order 857DC24 with the status complete. No hazards found. Decorations approved. The timestamp records 12:47 a.m. Christmas Day, the moment when Billy Hayes' Christmas decorations received official approval to remain in place. You step toward the door, preparing to exit, but Billy's voice stops you. Mr. Webb, you turn back. Yes. Merry Christmas, Billy says, his smile warm and sincere. I hope you have a really wonderful Christmas with your family. I hope it's the best Christmas you've ever had. It's such a normal thing to say, such an ordinary holiday greeting, that for a moment the strangeness of the situation fades and you're just two people acknowledging Christmas. Thank you, Billy. You have a good Christmas too. I will now, he says, looking around at his decorations with obvious satisfaction. I really will. Davies locks the door behind you, the mechanical and electronic systems engaging, securing the cell. Through the observation window, you can see Billy settling back onto his bunk, looking up at his snowflakes, his expression content and peaceful, someone who's gotten what he wanted for Christmas, approval for his decorations, permission to celebrate the holiday he loves so much. Davies walks with you back toward the control station, your footsteps echoing in the corridor. That went well, she observes. He's going to be talking about this for days. Facilities approved his decorations. Christmas is officially on. How long has he been doing this, you ask? The Christmas thing, I mean. Every year since he arrived. Always something different. Always Christmas related. Always done with complete dedication to making it special. Davies pauses at a corridor intersection, checking sight lines from force of habit. 8 Christmases in maximum security, and he's found a way to celebrate every single one. That takes something. Determination, creativity, maybe stubbornness. Most patients give up on holidays after a year or two in here. Billy never has. You consider this as you continue toward the mechanical room, where you'll complete the rest of D-Wing's standard checks. 8 Christmases in a maximum security cell, 8 years of finding ways to create holiday celebration within the constraints of psychiatric confinement. 8 years of paper snowflakes and homemade cards and carol sing-alongs, maintaining connection to something that matters, refusing to let circumstances completely eliminate joy. The rest of D-Wing's checks proceed normally, electrical panel inspection, fire alarm verification, mechanical systems review, all the standard procedures that you've performed in previous wings. Everything operates correctly, all readings are normal, the infrastructure performs its functions without drama or surprise. You complete documentation at 1:03 a.m, D-Wing checks finished, special inspection filed and approved. Davies escorts you back to the security checkpoint, badges you through the double doors, returns to her monitoring duties. You step out of D-Wing into the less restrictive atmosphere of C-Wing, the security level dropping, the sense of heightened vigilance relaxing slightly. But your mind is still partly in cell low 847, seeing those paper snowflakes and that nativity scene, thinking about Billy Hayes lying on his bunk, surrounded by Christmas decorations, experiencing whatever version of holiday joy is possible in maximum security. E-Wing and F-Wing await 2 more wings to inspect before first rounds are complete. But for now, you pause in the corridor, pulling out your tablet to review the completed inspection report one more time. Work order 847DEC24. Complete patient 047 cell inspection. No hazards found. Decorations approved to remain in place. Completion time 12:47 a.m. December 25th, Christmas in Arkham Asylum. This is what it looks like. Paper snowflakes in maximum security. Facilities supervisors inspecting nativity scenes for fire hazards, and one patient's determination to celebrate a holiday, regardless of where that celebration has to happen. You close the tablet and continue your rounds, heading toward E-Wing, the work of Christmas Eve continuing through the early hours of Christmas morning. E-Wing is different from the previous wings you've inspected tonight, where B, C, and D house patients in various security levels. E-Wing is designated for patients approaching discharge or transfer to less restrictive settings. These are individuals who've made significant progress in treatment, demonstrated stability over extended periods, and are being prepared for eventual return to community living or movement to outpatient programs. The physical environment reflects this difference. The corridors are wider, the lighting warmer in tone, the walls painted in colours that suggest something other than pure institutional function, a soft sage green that's meant to be calming without being clinical. The cell doors here are lighter with larger windows, reflecting reduced security requirements. Some doors even stand open during daytime hours, allowing patients more freedom of movement within the wing. At 1:06 a.m, however, E-Wing is secured for the night. Like all patient areas, doors locked, population settled into sleeping routines. But the atmosphere feels less restrictive, even in lockdown, the environment suggesting possibility rather than pure containment. You badge through from C-Wing without incident, the single door access reflecting E-Wing's lower security level. The security station here is smaller, staffed by a single officer who waves as you pass, recognizing you from previous shifts. The officer is reading something on a tablet, probably news or a book. The quiet night shift allowing for activities beyond constant vigilance. Your route takes you past the common room, a large space where E-Wing patients gather during the day for meals, group therapy, recreational activities, and the social interaction that's part of preparing for less restricted living. At this hour, the common room is dark except for safety lighting, its tables and chairs arranged neatly for tomorrow's Christmas activities. You pause at the doorway, looking into the room, seeing the Christmas decorations that the activities staff have installed. These are sanctioned decorations, purchased through proper channels, installed by staff rather than created by patients. A small artificial Christmas tree stands in the corner, maybe 5 feet tall, decorated with plastic ornaments and LED lights that pulse slowly through different colours, even now in the middle of the night. The lights create shifting patterns on the walls, blue fading to green, fading to red, a slow cycle that's probably meant to be festive, but reads as slightly surreal in the empty room at 1 a.m. Paper chains drape from wall to wall, traditional construction paper chains in red and green, the kind that children make in elementary schools. and that apparently retain some appeal in adult psychiatric facilities. The chains were created yesterday during an art therapy session. You remember seeing the work order that scheduled extra staff to supervise the activity. The chains hang in gentle arcs, secured at endpoints, with tape that you'll need to inspect to ensure it's not pulling paint off the walls. A large banner reading "Merry Christmas" hangs above the serving counter where food will be distributed later today. The banner is vinyl, professionally printed, reused year after year because it's durable and storage safe. The letters are cheerful, decorated with holly and bells, the design aggressively festive in the way that commercial Christmas decorations often are. This is your 3-hour AM checkpoint, but you're ahead of schedule, so you enter the common room now, conducting the inspection early while you're here rather than making a second trip later. Efficiency in facilities work means combining tasks when possible, reducing unnecessary travel, optimizing routes to minimize time and effort. You check the Christmas tree first following the same safety protocols you applied in Billy Hayes' cell. The tree is artificial, fire-resistant by design, constructed from PVC plastic that won't support combustion. The LED lights are low voltage, running off a transformer that reduces 120-volt line voltage to 12 volts DC, eliminating electrical fire risk. You verify the transformer is UL listed, properly rated, not generating excessive heat. The tree's plug connects to an outlet through a timer that turns the lights off at midnight and back on at 6 AM, preventing unnecessary power consumption and reducing fire risk during unoccupied hours. Except the lights are on now at 1:08 AM, which shouldn't be happening if the timer is working correctly. You trace the cord to the outlet, finding the timer, a simple mechanical unit with a rotating dial and small plastic pins that set on-off times. The timer is set correctly, pins positioned for midnight off and 6 AM on, but the manual override switch is in the on position, bypassing the programmed schedule. Someone turned the override on, probably thinking the lights should stay on all night for Christmas Eve. But that's not protocol, not energy efficient, and marginally less safe than having lights on only during occupied hours. You switch the override off, allowing the timer to function as programmed. The tree lights go dark. Immediately, the common room losing its coloured illumination, returning to just the white, safety lighting. You make a note on your tablet. E-Wing Common Room Christmas Tree Timer found in manual override mode. Return to automatic operation per standard protocol. This note will go into the shift report, not as a complaint, but as documentation of corrective action taken. Whoever set the override probably had good intentions, but good intentions don't override fire safety protocols. The paper chains receive inspection next. You're checking the attachment points, ensuring the tape isn't pulling paint off the walls or creating damage that will require repair. The tape is blue painter's tape, the type designed for temporary applications, removable without damaging surfaces. This is the correct choice and the installation is proper. The chains are secure, but the tape hasn't bonded so strongly that it will pull paint when removed. One section of chain has come partially loose, one end hanging down rather than stretched between walls. This is minor, easily fixed, and you have tape in your work jacket pocket. You carry basic supplies for small repairs that don't justify formal work orders. You retrieve a step stool from the storage closet at the room's far end, climb up, and reattach the chain using fresh tape. 30 seconds of work, problem solved, the room restored to its intended appearance. The banner above the serving counter is checked for secure attachment. It's hung on hooks that are permanently installed in the wall, designed specifically for hanging signs and decorations. The banner is properly positioned, not blocking any safety equipment or exit signage, presenting no hazards. You verify that the emergency exit signs flanking the serving counter are visible and unobstructed. Exit signs must be visible from anywhere in a room. Legally required, critically important in emergencies. The fire sprinklers in the common room ceiling are inspected visually. there are 6 sprinkler heads covering the space, positioned to provide adequate coverage of the entire room. Building codes specify maximum spacing between sprinklers, and these are properly positioned. You verify that none of the decorations interfere with sprinkler operation. There's an 18-inch clear radius required around each head, and all decorations maintain this clearance. The tables in the common room are arranged for tomorrow's Christmas dinner. You know from the schedule that kitchen staff will serve a special meal: turkey, stuffing, vegetables, dessert, all the traditional dishes that mark Christmas dinner. The tables are covered with red and green vinyl tablecloths, wipeable surfaces that add festive colour while maintaining the sanitation standards that institutional food service requires. You check the tablecloths for fire safety, a detail that many people wouldn't consider but that facility staff must evaluate. The cloths are fire-retardant vinyl, labelled as such on the tags still visible on some of them. Non-fire retardant fabrics in institutional settings can become fire hazards, especially in dining areas where candles might be used for ambience. Arkham doesn't allow candles in patient areas, so the risk is minimal, but you verify anyway because thoroughness prevents problems. The serving counter itself is stainless steel, commercial grade, designed for institutional food service. You check the hot holding equipment, the steam tables and warmers that will keep food at safe temperatures during serving. The equipment is currently off, cold, cleaned from yesterday's use, and ready for today's service. You verify the gas connections are shut off, the electrical connections are unplugged, everything secured until kitchen staff arrives at 5 a.m. to begin Christmas dinner preparation. All checks complete. You document everything on the tablet. E-wing common room inspected, Christmas decorations installed safely and properly, tree timer corrected to automatic operation, 1 paper chain section reattached, all fire safety equipment unobstructed, no hazards identified. Timestamp 1:19 a.m. You exit the common room, switching off the interior lights that you turned on for inspection, leaving only the safety lighting that burns continuously. The room returns to its nighttime quiet, decorated and ready for tomorrow's celebration, the infrastructure supporting holiday activities while maintaining the safety standards that institutional care requires. The basement stairs in E-wing lead down to the mechanical room, following the same pattern as previous wings. The stairwell is concrete, the descent familiar now, your legs feeling the accumulated exercise of multiple basement trips. You're staying active tonight, probably walking 5 or 6 miles by shift's end, climbing and descending stairs repeatedly, maintaining the physical conditioning that facilities work demands. The E-wing mechanical room is similar to others you've inspected: air handling unit, hot water heater, electrical panel, fire alarm system. The equipment here is mixed ages, some components original to the building, others replaced during various renovation cycles. The air handler is older, perhaps 15 years in service, showing its age but still functioning adequately. You check the unit's control panel. Supply temperature 72 degrees, return temperature 69 degrees, fan speed 75%, heating active, all readings within normal range. The filter is moderately dirty, perhaps 60% of service life consumed, due for replacement in another week or 2. You make a note to schedule filter change for next week's maintenance cycle. The hot water heater is newer, installed 3 years ago when the previous unit failed. This model is more efficient, better insulated, equipped with electronic controls rather than the older mechanical thermostats. The display shows 125 degrees, pressure at 29 psi, burner in standby mode, all normal operation. The electrical panel has 52 breakers, all in proper position, no anomalies visible. Current load is 41.3 kilowatts, slightly lower than B and C wings, but consistent with E-wing's smaller population. The fire alarm panel shows all green indicators, battery backup at 96%, system normal. E-wing mechanical inspection complete at 1:34 a.m. You climb back to ground level, legs protesting slightly. You're getting tired now, past the 1 hour mark of the shift, feeling the accumulation of walking and stairs and the physical demands of maintenance work. One wing remaining, F Wing, the final section of Arkham Asylum, housing administrative support functions and the offices of treatment staff who work with patients across all wings. F Wing is partially administrative, partially clinical, a mixed-use space that serves functions different from pure patient housing or pure office space. You badge through from E Wing to F Wing, entering a corridor that feels like a hybrid of the administrative atmosphere of A Wing and the clinical environment of patient areas. The walls are painted a neutral grey-blue. The lighting is at full brightness, even during night cycle, and the doors show a mix of office nameplates and generic room numbers. At 1:37 a.m, F Wing is completely deserted. The clinical offices are closed, their occupants gone home for the holiday. The conference rooms where treatment teams meet are dark. The file storage areas are locked and secured. Only the safety lighting and emergency systems remain active, maintaining readiness for the building's operational day that will begin in less than 5 hours. Your destination is the primary boiler room, located in F Wing's basement, a larger mechanical space than the wing-specific mechanical rooms you've been inspecting. This boiler room houses the main heating system for the entire Arkham facility, a large commercial boiler that supplements the individual air handlers in each wing, providing the primary source of thermal energy during Gotham's cold winters. The basement stairs in F Wing are wider than in other wings, designed to accommodate the larger equipment that was installed when the boiler was replaced during renovations. You descend carefully, one hand on the railing, mindful of the fatigue that makes trips and falls more likely as shifts extend into early morning hours. The boiler room door is substantial, steel, fire-rated, marked with warnings about high-temperature equipment and authorized access only. Your master key opens it, revealing a space that's significantly larger than wing mechanical rooms, perhaps 30 feet by 40 feet, with 12-foot ceilings to accommodate the boiler and its associated piping and systems. The heat hits you immediately. Boiler rooms are always hot, kept warm by equipment that generates enormous thermal energy, insulation that contains heat, and the accumulated warmth of machinery that runs continuously for months at a time. The temperature in here is probably 85 degrees, warm enough that you unzip your work jacket immediately. The heat uncomfortable after the cooler corridors outside. The boiler itself is a massive piece of equipment, a commercial gas-fired unit, approximately 8 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and 12 feet long, painted industrial grey, covered with piping and valves and gauges and controls. This is a Cleaver Brooks model CB700, installed in 1998 during major renovations. Designed for a 30-year service life with proper maintenance, it's now 27 years old, approaching the end of its design life, but still functioning well, a testament to consistent maintenance and proper operation. You approach the boiler's control panel, a sophisticated system that monitors and controls dozens of parameters. The main display shows boiler status, firing water temperature, 180 degrees supply, pressure, 22 psi return temperature, 160 degree burner, output, 65% flame, established system. Mode automatic. All readings are normal for winter operation. The boiler maintains water at 180 degrees, circulating it through the building's heating system. The hot water flowing through pipes to air handlers in each wing, where it heats the air that keeps Arkham comfortable. The supply pressure of 22 psi is perfect, high enough for good circulation throughout the building, not so high as to stress pipes or create safety concerns. The burner output at 65% indicates the boiler is working moderately hard, appropriate for December temperatures in the high 20s outside. As outdoor temperature drops, burner output increases to maintain building temperature. As temperature rises, output decreases. The system is self-regulating, adjusting automatically based on demand. You check the sight glass on the boiler's side, a small window that allows visual inspection of the water level inside. The water level should be visible in the middle third of the glass. Too high indicates overfilling, too low indicates inadequate water that could allow overheating. The level is perfect, right in the centre of the sight glass, where it should be. The pressure gauge is checked next, a large analog gauge on the boiler's front face, showing pressure in PSI with colour-coded zones for normal, caution and danger. The needle sits comfortably in the green zone at 22 psi, well away from the yellow caution zone that starts at 30 psi and the red danger zone above 40 psi. You inspect the flame through the sight port, a small window in the burner assembly that allows viewing of combustion. The flame should be blue, indicating complete combustion with proper air-to-fuel mixture. Yellow or orange flames would indicate incomplete combustion, creating efficiency losses and potentially dangerous carbon monoxide. The flame is properly blue, steady and consistent, the burner operating correctly. The expansion tank is inspected next, a large cylindrical tank connected to the boiler system, designed to accommodate the expansion of water as it heats. Water expands when heated, and without an expansion tank to absorb this expansion, pressure would build dangerously. The tank's pressure gauge shows 15 psi, correct for a system operating at 22 psi. The tank should be pressurized to about 2/3 of system pressure. The circulating pumps are checked, 3 large pumps that move heated water through the building's distribution piping. Pump 1 serves A and B wings, Pump 2 serves C and D wings, Pump 3 serves E and F wings. All 3 pumps are running, their motors humming steadily, their pressure gauges showing adequate discharge pressure. You place your hand on each pump motor, feeling for unusual heat or vibration. All 3 feel normal, warm but not hot, vibrating slightly, as motors do, but without the harsh vibration that indicates bearing problems or misalignment. The flue pipe is inspected visually, the large pipe that exhausts combustion gases from the burner to the outside atmosphere. The pipe should be intact, properly supported, showing no signs of corrosion or leakage. Everything looks good, the pipe maintaining its proper upward slope, supported by hangers at regular intervals, the joints sealed and intact. The emergency shut-off system is tested, a large red button mounted prominently on the wall, designed to immediately shut down the boiler if emergency conditions arise. You press the button. The boiler responds instantly, burner shutting off, circulating pumps stopping, all systems going to safe mode. The silence is sudden and dramatic after the constant sound of running equipment. You wait 10 seconds, verifying that the shutdown is complete, then reset the system using the green restart button beside the red emergency stop. The boiler goes through its startup sequence: safety checks, ignition preparation, burner ignition, pump restart. 90 seconds later, the system is fully operational again, back to its previous state, the test confirming that emergency shutdown works correctly. This test is performed monthly, documented carefully, required by boiler safety codes. A failed emergency shutdown could result in dangerous conditions if problems develop, making this test one of the most important safety procedures in facilities maintenance. You document everything on the tablet. F-wing boiler room inspection complete, primary boiler operating normally, all pressures and temperatures within normal range, emergency shutdown tested successfully, all safety systems operational. Timestamp 1:58 AM. The exit from the boiler room is a relief. The corridor outside feels cool after the 85-degree heat inside, the 70-degree air almost cold by comparison. You zip your work jacket back up, the temperature difference significant enough to require adjustment. Back upstairs to complete F-Wing's standard checks, electrical panel with 48 breakers, all normal. Fire alarm system showing all green, battery, back up at 98%. The administrative offices are dark and quiet, requiring only basic checks to verify that temperature sensors are reading correctly, and no maintenance issues have developed overnight. F-Wing complete at 2:11 a.m. First rounds finished, all 6 wings inspected, all systems checked, all equipment verified operational. The building is functioning exactly as it should. Infrastructure quietly performing its designed tasks, keeping 200 people safe and comfortable through a December night. You return to your office, unlocking the door, stepping into the familiar small space that serves as your operational base. The coffee maker still holds coffee from the first pot, but it's been sitting for over 2 hours now, probably bitter and stale. You pour it out in the small sink, rinse the pot, begin preparing a second pot with fresh beans and water. While the coffee brews, you review the tablet's documentation, confirming that all checklists are complete, all readings are recorded, all observations are noted. The digital record shows a comprehensive picture of first rounds. Start time 11 p.m, completion time 2:11 a.m, 3 hours and 11 minutes of systematic inspection, covering every major system in Arkham Asylum. 1 work order completed. Billy Hayes' cell inspection. Decorations approved. 1 minor correction made. Christmas tree timer in E-Wing returned to automatic operation. 1 maintenance note. E-Wing air filter needs replacement next week. Otherwise, everything normal, everything functioning as designed. The coffee maker beeps. You pour the second cup of the night. The coffee hot and strong, and exactly what you need to push through the remaining hours of the shift. The first sip is good. The familiar taste resetting your focus, preparing you for second rounds that will begin in 90 minutes. But first, a meal break. You retrieve your lunch bag from the refrigerator, pull out the sandwich you packed this afternoon, turkey and cheese on wheat bread. Simple and filling. You eat standing at your desk, reviewing the schedule for the remainder of the shift while you chew. 2:30 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. Meal break, current. 3:30 a.m. to 5 a.m. Second rounds, abbreviated version focusing on critical systems. 4 a.m. Generator testing during second rounds 5:00 a.m. to 6:00 a.m. Final rounds, shift transition preparation 6:00 a.m. to 7:00 a.m. Documentation completion, briefing preparation for day shift. The schedule is manageable. Second rounds are shorter than first rounds because you're not inspecting every detail, just verifying that systems you checked 3 hours ago are still operating correctly. The generator test is routine, performed monthly, scheduled for 4 a.m. when electrical demand is lowest and the test won't impact operations. You finish the sandwich, drink more coffee, check your watch. 2:24 a.m. 6 minutes remaining in the meal break. Time enough to use the restroom and splash cold water on your face. The simple maintenance of your own physical needs that's easy to neglect during busy shifts. The restroom is down the corridor, a staff facility separate from patient areas. You walk there slowly, stretching legs that are feeling the accumulated miles of tonight's rounds. The cold water on your face is refreshing, shocking away some of the fatigue, the physical reset that helps maintain alertness. Back in your office at 2:29 a.m, you gather tablet and keys, finish the second cup of coffee, prepare to begin the second circuit through Arkham's 6 wings. The building is quieter now than it was during first rounds, deeper into night, approaching the hours when even insomniacs often finally sleep. Somewhere in D-Wing, Billy Hayes is probably asleep under his paper snowflakes, his Christmas decorations approved and safe, his holiday secured. Somewhere in the mechanical rooms, boilers and air handlers continue their endless operation. Somewhere in electrical panels, circuit breakers stand ready to protect against overloads. And you're beginning another round of checks, maintaining the vigilance that keeps it all functioning. The door locks behind you as you exit your office. Second rounds begin. Second rounds proceed more quickly than first rounds, as they're designed to do. You're not performing comprehensive inspections now, just verification that systems you checked hours ago remain operational. The checks are abbreviated but systematic. visual confirmation that equipment is running, quick reviews of key readings, attention focused on anything that might have changed since first rounds. A-wing takes 15 minutes. Server room temperature holding at 68.2 degrees. Electrical panels showing normal operation. Mechanical room equipment running without issues. B-wing takes 17 minutes. Similar checks producing similar results. C-wing, D-wing, E-wing each receives attention. Each shows continued normal operation. The infrastructure maintaining its steady performance through the night. By 3:47 a.m, you're approaching the generator test, the monthly exercise that verifies Arkham's backup power systems are ready to function if main power fails. The generators are housed in a separate building behind the main facility, a small concrete structure designed specifically to protect the equipment from weather while providing adequate ventilation for the engines. You exit through the rear door of F-wing, stepping into the December night. The temperature has dropped since you arrived for shift. Your phone shows 23 degrees now. The cold sharp and immediate, the wind light but present, carrying the scent of snow, though none is falling. The sky remains clear, stars visible, the moon a thin crescent hanging above Gotham's skyline. The generator building is 100 feet from the main structure, connected by a paved walkway that's been salted against ice. You walk carefully, mindful of the fact that falls on ice send people to hospitals, that a facilities supervisor with a broken leg can't perform rounds. That caution is essential when temperature drops below freezing. The building is small, perhaps 20 feet by 30 feet, but solidly constructed. Concrete walls, metal roof, heavy doors that can be secured against unauthorized access. The structure is windowless, designed to contain noise and protect equipment, not to provide visibility or aesthetic appeal. Your key unlocks the door. The interior is lit by motion-activated lights that sense your entry and illuminate immediately. The space is organized efficiently, housing 3 large diesel generators arranged in a row, each unit capable of powering critical systems throughout Arkham if utility power fails. The generators are Caterpillar models, industrial units rated for continuous operation, installed 5 years ago to replace older equipment that had reached end of service life. Each generator is approximately the size of a large car, painted bright yellow with black safety striping, mounted on vibration-isolating pads that prevent engine vibration from transmitting to the building structure. Generator 1 powers A and B wings. Generator 2 powers C and D wings. Generator 3 powers E and F wings, plus the boiler and other central systems. This distribution ensures that no single generator failure could leave the entire facility without power. Redundancy built into the design for safety. You approach the control panel for Generator 1, a sophisticated system that monitors engine health, controls starting sequences, and manages the automatic transfer switch that shifts loads between utility power and generator power during outages. The display shows generator status, standby engine hours, 847 battery voltage, 27.2 R fuel level, 87% coolant temperature, 62 degree oil pressure, 0 psi engine not running. System mode, automatic. All readings are normal for a unit in standby mode. The engine hours of 847 represent the accumulated runtime since installation. Generators are tested monthly for 5 minutes, plus occasional exercise during power outages, accumulating hours slowly because they're designed to sit idle until needed. The battery voltage is good, adequate for engine starting. Fuel level is fine. These generators have 500-gallon tanks, and 87% means plenty of fuel for extended operation if needed. You initiate the test sequence by pressing the manual start button. The control panel beeps acceptance, running through automated safety checks. Oil level adequate, coolant level adequate, battery voltage sufficient, no fault conditions detected. After 10 seconds of checks, the starter motor engages. The sound is dramatic. The diesel engine turns over once, twice, then catches with a roar that fills the building. The engine is loud even with the acoustic dampening built into the enclosure, a deep mechanical thunder that's felt as much as heard. The smell of diesel exhaust appears immediately, drawn away by the ventilation system, but still present, that distinctive petroleum odour that diesel engines produce. You watch the gauges as the engine warms up. Oil pressure rises quickly to 45 psi, indicating the oil pump is functioning and lubrication is reaching all engine components. Coolant temperature begins climbing from 62 degrees, heading toward normal operating temperature around 180 degrees. Voltage output stabilizes at 480 volts, three-phase, the correct output for the building's electrical distribution system. The generator runs for 5 minutes, the programmed test duration. You use this time to walk around the unit, listening for unusual sounds, looking for leaks or problems, conducting visual inspection while the engine operates under no-load conditions. Everything looks normal. No fuel leaks, no coolant leaks, no oil leaks, no loose components vibrating excessively. At the 5-minute mark, the control panel automatically initiates shutdown. The engine spools down, RPM decreasing smoothly, the roar fading to a rumble, then to silence. The sudden quiet is striking after 5 minutes of loud diesel operation, your ears ringing slightly from the noise exposure. You document the test. Generator 1 started successfully, ran for 5 minutes, all parameters normal, no issues observed. You repeat the process with Generator 2, then Generator 3, each unit performing its test sequence correctly, each showing normal operation and readiness to assume load if utility power fails. The complete testing takes 35 minutes, finishing at 4:32 a.m. All 3 generators are confirmed operational, fuel levels are adequate, batteries are charged, cooling systems are functional. In the event of power failure, Arkham Asylum would maintain critical operations without interruption, patients would remain safe, life support systems would continue running, security systems would maintain function. You lock the generator building behind you, return across the cold walkway to the main building, grateful for the warmth that greets you when you step inside. Your fingers are cold despite work gloves. Standing in an unheated building for 35 minutes in December is unavoidably cold, and it takes several minutes in the heated corridor for feeling to fully return to your fingers. Back in your office, you document the generator tests in detail, completing the monthly test form that will be filed with Gotham City's building department as proof of compliance with emergency power regulations. The form requires specific information: date and time of test, duration of operation, all gauge readings, any problems observed, inspector name and signature. You complete the form, save it electronically, mark it for printing during day shift when printers are available. The documentation is important. Inspectors review these forms during annual building inspections, verifying that required testing is being performed, that equipment is being maintained properly, that the facility is meeting its legal obligations for emergency preparedness. The office clock shows 4:49 a.m. The sky outside is still completely dark. Sunrise won't come until after 7 a.m. after your shift ends. But the deepest part of night has passed and morning is approaching, the building beginning its slow transition toward day shift operations. You have time for a third cup of coffee before final rounds begin. The beans go into the grinder, the familiar ritual providing comfort and routine. The mechanical process of coffee preparation marking another segment of the shift completed. While the coffee brews, you review the shift's accumulated documentation, ensuring everything is properly recorded. First rounds complete with all systems normal. Billy Hayes' inspection completes with approval granted. Second rounds complete with continued normal operation. Generator testing completes with all units operational. The digital record is comprehensive, time-stamped, backed up automatically to the building's server systems. The coffee is ready. You pour the third cup, noting that you're drinking more coffee tonight than usual. Probably the accumulated fatigue of approaching the end of a night shift, the need for chemical assistance to maintain alertness as your body pushes toward 8 hours of continuous work. But the work isn't finished. Final rounds await, a last verification that systems remain operational, that the building is ready for day shift arrival, that no problems have developed in the hours since you last checked. Final rounds are the shortest of the night's 3 circuits, 15 or 20 minutes per wing, focusing only on the most critical items, confirming readiness for handover to day shift. You finish the coffee, set the empty mug in the sink for washing later, gather your tablet and keys one more time. The corridor outside your office is unchanged, same lighting, same quiet, same institutional atmosphere that's been constant through the entire shift. Final rounds begin at 5:03 a.m., the last systematic walk through Arkham's infrastructure before your shift ends. Final rounds proceed with the efficiency of a third repetition. Your movement's automatic now, the checks reduced to essentials. A-wing server room temperature stable, electrical systems unchanged, mechanical room equipment continuing its reliable operation. The building has maintained its consistency through 8 hours of monitoring, the infrastructure proving its reliability through another night of continuous service. B-wing shows the first signs of approaching morning. You hear water running in patient bathrooms, the sounds of early risers beginning their days even before official wake time. The medical staff are starting medication rounds, their voices quiet in corridors, distributing morning doses to patients who require them. The building is stirring, the transition from night to day beginning even though the sky outside remains dark. C-wing is similar, the same gradual awakening, the slow increase in activity level. D-wing maintains its heightened security even during wake time, but you sense the change. More lights in cells visible through observation windows. More movement. The population preparing for Christmas morning behind locked doors. You pass cell 847, pausing briefly at the observation window. Inside, Billy Hayes is awake, sitting on his bunk, looking up at his paper snowflakes. His expression is peaceful, content, someone who's received what he wanted for Christmas. Approval to keep his decorations, permission to celebrate the holiday. He doesn't see you watching, absorbed in his own thoughts, surrounded by the winter wonderland he spent 3 months creating. E-wing and F-wing complete the final circuit. All systems operational, all temperatures stable, all equipment functioning correctly. The building has made it through Christmas Eve night without incident, without emergency, without the kind of crisis that sometimes disrupts night shifts. You return to your office at 6:02 a.m, ahead of schedule, final rounds complete with 58 minutes remaining in your shift. This is the documentation period, the time for completing paperwork, preparing the briefing for day shift, organising all the night's observations into the concise summary that the day supervisor will need. The shift report form appears on your tablet screen, waiting for completion. Night shift report date, December 24, 25. Supervisor, Marcus Webb. Hours 11:00 p.m, 7:00 e.m. Systems status. All HVAC systems operational. All electrical panels normal. All fire alarm systems functional. Primary boiler operating at 65% capacity. All generators tested and operational. All plumbing systems functional. Work orders completed. WO 847 D-Control D-Wing patient cell inspection. Decorations approved. Corrective actions. E-Wing Christmas tree timer returned to automatic operation. Maintenance notes. E-Wing air handler filter needs replacement within 7 days. F-Wing boiler approaching end of design life. Recommend replacement planning for FY 2026. Incidents. None recommendations. Continue routine monitoring. Schedule filter replacement. You type the report systematically, translating 8 hours of inspections and observations into the condensed format that captures essential information without overwhelming detail. The report will be filed electronically, printed for the physical logbook and reviewed by the day supervisor during shift change. The coffee maker goes off, unplugged for the day. You wash your mug in the sink, dry it, return it to its shelf. The office is tidied, personal items secured, the space prepared for whatever day shift activities might require access. Your lunch bag is retrieved from the refrigerator, empty now, except for the thermos that held backup coffee you never needed to drink. At 6:27 a.m, your radio crackles. Facilities day supervisor to night supervisor. You key the mic. Night supervisor, go ahead. I'm 10 minutes out. You need anything before I arrive? Negative. Shift report is ready for handover. Building is secure and all systems are operational. Copy that. See you shortly. The day supervisor arrives at 6:38 a.m. Thompson, a man in his mid-30s who's held the day supervisor position for 3 years. He's younger than you, less experienced, but competent and thorough, someone you trust to maintain the building's operations during day shift hours. You brief him on the night's activities, walking through the shift report, highlighting the few items that require attention. The E-wing filter needs scheduling. Billy Hayes' decorations were approved and can remain in place. The generators tested successfully. Everything else is routine, normal operation, nothing requiring immediate action. Thompson reviews the report, asks a few clarifying questions, accepts the handover of responsibility. At 6:58 a.m, you officially clock out, swiping your badge through the time clock, ending your shift 2 minutes early because all tasks are complete and Thompson is ready to assume duties. The walk to your car takes you through corridors that are now fully lit for day shift, past offices where staff are beginning to arrive, through a building that's transitioning from night operations to day operations. The parking lot is no longer nearly empty. Cars are arriving, day shift personnel reporting for duty, the facility preparing for Christmas Day activities. Your car starts reliably despite the cold, the engine turning over after a few seconds of cranking, heater beginning to generate warmth that will take several minutes to actually warm the interior. You scrape frost from the windows while the engine warms, the physical activity helping maintain alertness for the drive home. The drive takes you through Gotham at sunrise, the skies lightening in the east, the first glow of Christmas morning appearing above the city's skyline. The streets are mostly empty, only essential personnel and early risers out. The city still sleeping through the holiday morning. You pass a church whose parking lot is already filling for early Christmas service, see houses with coloured lights glowing, observe the city preparing to celebrate. Home at 7:23 a.m. Your apartment is quiet. Your daughter is at her mother's house. Won't be here until this evening when custody arrangements bring her back for your shared Christmas dinner. The apartment feels empty without her. The small tree in the corner, somehow less cheerful when there's no one else to appreciate it, but you're too tired to feel melancholy. Night shift fatigue is settling in now that work is complete, your body demanding the sleep it's been denied for 8 hours. You shower quickly, the hot water washing away the feeling of institutional environments, letting you separate work from home. Bed welcomes you at 7:49 a.m. The sun is fully up now, Christmas morning bright and cold outside your window, but your room is dark behind a heavy curtains that block light for day sleeping. You set an alarm for 2:00 p.m, 6 hours of sleep, enough to function when your daughter arrives at 4:00 p.m. for Christmas evening. As you drift towards sleep, your mind reviews the night. Billy Hayes' paper snowflakes, the methodical rounds through 6 wings, the generator tests at 4 a.m, the endless checking and verifying and documenting that keeps a 73-year-old building functional and safe. Another Christmas Eve shift complete. Another night of maintenance work that most people never see, never think about, but which makes possible the care and treatment and security that Arkham Asylum provides. Somewhere in D-Wing, Billy Hayes is probably eating Christmas breakfast, excited about the day, his approved decorations surrounding him. Somewhere in mechanical rooms, equipment continues running, boilers and air handlers and pumps performing their designed functions. Somewhere in your office, the next shift report is already being written by Thompson, documenting the first hours of Christmas Day operations. But for you, work is finished until tomorrow night at 10:47 p.m. when you'll clock in again for another 8-hour shift. For now, sleep. You wake to your alarm at 2:03 p.m., 6 hours and 14 minutes of sleep. That's almost enough, but not quite. Night shift sleep is never quite as restorative as normal nighttime sleep. The circadian rhythm's working against you. Your body confused about why it's sleeping when daylight screams that it should be awake. But you're functional, clear-headed enough for Christmas evening with your daughter. You make coffee, your home coffee, slightly different from the office blend but similarly reliable. The first cup helps transition from sleep to wakefulness, the caffeine doing its chemical work, while you shower and dress in casual clothes rather than work uniforms. Your phone shows messages from your daughter. "Merry Christmas, Dad," sent at 9:42 a.m, and "Mum's dropping me off at 4, can't wait to see you," at 1:15 p.m. You respond, "Merry Christmas, sweetie. I'll have dinner ready. Love you." The afternoon passes in preparation, reheating the Christmas dinner you prepared yesterday before work, setting the small table in your apartment's dining area, arranging the presents under the tree. The apartment is modest but clean, organised, the home of someone who applies the same systematic approach to domestic life that he applies to facilities work. Your daughter arrives at 3:58 p.m, 2 minutes early, bursting through the door with energy and excitement, 16 years old and somehow still young enough to be genuinely thrilled by Christmas. She hugs you, wishes you Merry Christmas again, immediately wants to open presents. You negotiate, dinner first, then presents. She agrees and you eat together, turkey and stuffing and all the traditional dishes, talking about her morning at her mother's house, about school, about her friends, about everything that fills a teenager's life. You tell her a little about work, nothing specific, nothing about patience or security, just the general routine of checking systems and walking rounds and keeping a building operational. "Does it bother you?" she asks between bites of stuffing. "Working on Christmas Eve? Missing the whole Christmas Eve thing?" You consider the question. Someone has to do it. The building doesn't shut down for holidays. Patients need heat and lights and all the systems that make the facility work. And honestly, I don't mind. It's just another shift, and the overtime pay is good. But you miss things. You're asleep when everyone else is celebrating. I get to celebrate with you tonight. That's what matters. After dinner, presents. She's bought you a new insulated mug, larger than your current one, with "World's Best Dad" engraved on the side, an upgrade from "World's Okayest Dad." The symbolism makes you smile. "I figured you needed a serious one now," she explains. "You're actually a really good dad, and I wanted you to have a mug that says so." You've bought her a journal, leather-bound, high-quality paper, the kind that artists and writers value. She's been talking about keeping a journal, about wanting to document her thoughts and experiences, and this seems like the right gift. She's pleased with it, genuinely touched by the thoughtfulness. "This is perfect, Dad. Thank you." The evening continues with the comfortable domesticity of family time, a movie playing in the background, conversation drifting through various topics, the simple pleasure of being together. Around 8 p.m, she mentions something that catches your attention. "I saw something online about Arkham Asylum," she says casually, "about a patient who decorates his cell for Christmas every year. Is that real?" You're careful with your response. Patient confidentiality is absolute, even in casual conversation. "I can't talk about specific patients, but yes, some patients celebrate holidays in whatever ways they can within the rules. It's part of maintaining humanity in difficult circumstances." That seems sad, spending Christmas in a psychiatric hospital. It is sad, but it's also hopeful in a way. If someone can find joy in celebrating Christmas despite being confined. despite being mentally ill, despite being separated from society. That shows resilience. That shows the human spirit persisting even in hard circumstances. She considers this. Did you see the decorations? The Christmas cell? You nod slowly. I can't discuss specific patients, but I can tell you that I saw Christmas decorations tonight that were beautiful and creative and made with tremendous care. Someone spent months creating something meaningful within the constraints they faced. That's worth something. That's actually kind of inspiring, she says. You think about Billy Hayes, asleep now, probably, in cell so 847. His Christmas, having been whatever version of celebration is possible in maximum security. You think about paper snowflakes and homemade nativity scenes and the determination to create beauty despite limitations. Yeah, you agree. It kind of is. Your daughter leaves at 10 p.m., her mother picking her up for the return to her primary residence. You hug her goodbye, wish her Merry Christmas again, watch as she walks to the car and waves before driving away. The apartment is quiet after she leaves. You clean up from dinner, put away dishes, tidy the living room. The Christmas tree lights glow softly in the corner, presents opened, the holiday essentially complete for you. But not for Arkham Asylum. Right now, Thompson is conducting evening rounds, checking systems, monitoring equipment, doing the same work you'll do tomorrow night and the night after, and every night your schedule assigns you to night shift. The building never stops requiring maintenance. The infrastructure never takes holidays. You think about the work you do, the nights spent in basements and mechanical rooms, the endless checking and verifying and documenting that keeps people safe and comfortable. It's not glamorous. No one will ever make a movie about facilities supervisors who test generators at 4 a.m. on Christmas morning. But it matters. It matters to the 200 patients who need heat and light and safe surroundings. It matters to the staff who work in a building that functions reliably. It matters to people like Billy Hayes, who can decorate their cells for Christmas because facility staff verify that those decorations are safe. The work matters. Not in dramatic ways, not in ways that make headlines or earn recognition, but in the small, steady, essential ways that infrastructure always matters. Quietly, consistently, making possible the lives and activities and care that happen within buildings. You'll be back tomorrow night at 10:47 p.m. You'll clock in, check systems, walk rounds, verify that everything operates correctly. You'll do the same the next night and the next, through winter and spring and summer and fall, through holidays and ordinary days, maintaining the endless operation of Arkham Asylum. Meanwhile, elsewhere in Gotham, life continues. But in the quiet corners of service and watchfulness, in the basement, mechanical rooms, and electrical closets, and boiler rooms of the city's buildings, people are working to keep infrastructure functional. People are checking systems, monitoring equipment, ensuring that the physical environment supports the human activities it's meant to house. This is the work. This is Christmas Eve in facilities maintenance. This is what it looks like when someone has to keep the lights on and the heat running. Even on the night when most people are celebrating, you set your alarm for tomorrow evening, preparing for another night shift. The work continues. The building endures. Someone checks the systems and walks the rounds and maintains the operation. Tonight, tomorrow night, and all the nights to come. Good night.